Missing anything?
Don't be missing nothing.
Yeah, exactly. There, now it's going.
Yeah.
First, it's live now. First thing I wanted to do actually was try to get some kind of video message from you about the upcoming eBay auction that I'm planning to do. I didn't get the thing yet, but I made sure to. I logged into eBay with my Google account and it's like, oh, that works. That's easy. I don't have to register a new eBay account. But
yeah.
It's going to be on the eBay account is called Thomas Royloop. I just wanted you to be able to vouch for it that you're selling basically going to be selling your Earthworm Jim page.
Oh yeah, no, and I'll post the link on my Twitter so Maximum Jim follow, because there's someone else who needs, another gal got a page and she needs to raise money for her family, and she said, you don't mind if I sell it to you, because she's one of my top referrers. I go, oh no, you sell it and I'll throw the link up on my Twitter and we'll try and raise more money.
It's kind of the point to sell it. It's collector's. Yeah. I mean, it's going to just go up in value, but I wanted to make sure that you were like vouching, because the account I have to make on eBay is brand new. So I wanted people to be able to hear it from you that my account's actually real and like the eBay.
Oh, in case someone else did a Thomas Royloop account?
Or if somebody sees the account and it's like, oh, this person has no sales and no.
Yeah.
So if you could say, Madman Doug, I just noticed.
Yeah, Madman Doug.
We just finished watching that movie like 20 minutes ago.
Masterpiece. We're going to talk about Barton Fink because Thomas refuses to tell you. I mean, other than the title. Yeah,
the title spoils it. But yeah, it's actually a good counterpoint, because we've been setting this up for like the past 2 months or something. It's like, hey, we should do a review together. We wanted to do a movies you should watch if you want to be a good artist episode, specifically because you recommended Barton Fink. You were saying,
this is the king movie if you want to be a good artist. It might be the only movie if you want to be a good artist.
It's about being an artist, specifically being an artist, especially in giant quotes and italics, double italics and bold and underlined.
Yeah, in fact.
Because
wait, let me send this out on Twitter real quick.
Yeah, okay.
SWC revived, and I are reviewing Barton Fink
and Adaptation. They're a good counter.
Do we have to do Adaptation too, though? It's been a while. I've seen that one. I need to see it. I mean, I've seen it enough times to know.
Me and my brother can talk about it at least. So
okay.
Fill in.
Okay. But you know what's weird is, did you notice the parallels with Barton Fink?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. That because the first time I saw Barton Fink, I was like 20. I didn't get it, and I was like,
"Oh yeah, me too. Me too. I was about that same age. Didn't get it."
It's like, it's all
artistic. It's been a long time since we've seen it too.
Yeah, and now we just saw it a few minutes ago, and all of a sudden, I was thinking of Adaptation the entire time, because both of them are about writer's block.
That's right. Way. Yeah, and there's twin. Because I would argue that Munt and Barton Fink are sort of the same character, sort of.
Yeah. Munt is the everyman that Barton Fink thinks he's writing about. And in a way, Barton Fink is really actually the everyman as well, because he's just as clueless as anyone else is.
Oh, it gets deeper than that, friend.
Yeah, I heard a lot.
Actually, I remembered a lot of the movie. That's the thing, is it's been a long time, but I remember a lot of the stuff.
I forgot a lot of details. Like, they talked about the wallpaper sweating off the wall, and it was like, oh, they did explain that. I forgot that they explained that. And there's basically symbolism just running through the entire movie.
Yeah, it's up to you to decide what the symbolism really means. And personally, I think ultimately it means just don't go to California. Just don't go to LA.
They do say basically that. This is also where it ties into Tails Gets Trolled.
Yes, I mean that should tie in with everything.
Everything revolves around that comic. Is, you know how because of the way it reads, you can't tell if the author is intentionally brilliant or accidentally brilliant, right?
Or both.
If he's doing it intentionally, if he's doing it intentionally, then he has a grasp of the medium in a way that can unhinge you by the way that it's written. He can disturb you intentionally, though he's capable of probably doing way better writing and better art than that.
Mm-hmm.
He's using his brilliance to look like he doesn't know what he's doing, kind of. Well, the Coen brothers, I think, are doing the same thing in that they're they're postmodern artists. This is coming out of the late 80s,
Mm-hmm.
this work.
The best decade.
And they're giving you symbols, barely connecting them, but the symbols are connected enough that you can't dismiss them. At the same time, they're frayed and random feeling enough that they force you to disconnect them, or you'll come into a contradiction with the facts of the story. Now, that to me is a weird act of deliberate brilliance, where it seems like it's accidental, but really they're in full mastery and full control of every shot. Even when they're trying not to be in control, they want it to feel like they're not in control, so they put something random in there to look like, because they don't want to do a one-for-one allegory.
Yeah, they're trying to, because it's not just about even the allegory or the symbolism. It's about a guy who thinks he's like, a big important. He's like, I'm going to make the important, something that speaks to the common man. It opens with that, with him like pontificating.
Yeah, they set up all the themes in that.
Very typical communist viewpoint. Is like, I talk for the common man.
Yeah, the working class man. But you could tell he's not right at the beginning. He's in a suit and he's going to these big fancy dinners with executives and playwrights.
His agent. And that's the other thing is, as an artist, I think Barton Fink indicts all of us.
It's a horrific nightmare condemnation of art and writing.
It's so good.
Yes,
and these are things that the Coen brothers ask themselves as filmmakers, and they're not. They're saying they're not above it. They're not above it.
Yeah, they're like, we are this pretentious. Just
the
like
movie is partially a comedy.
Yeah, it's or
other movies tend to have a lot of comedy in them.
Even the most horrifying parts, like all of a sudden the movie turns into like a horror movie, but it's still funny. Like the most horrifying part is the ending, basically, which is also a comedy at the exact same time because it's creepy.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the most famous scene. That and This Is My Uniform, which again, after not having seen the movie for 20 years, the one thing, but I was like, let me rent this on YouTube. I don't want to pay YouTube money, but I'm going to rent it on YouTube. The one thing I remember from the movie is Barton Fink at like a USO dance, pointing to his head and saying, "This is my uniform." Being so pretentious and being what every writer wants to really do, like out in public, he's like whipping his arms around as he's dancing. He's like freak dancing.
And that's the other thing is like, I know that feeling having finished a book.
Yes.
That's exactly how you feel.
You want to prance retardedly around and enjoy, but then anyone who might be like, hey buddy, mind if I cut in? You want to be like, I am in
I am a writer. And I feel that every time I draw, it's like, I'm going to help the common man and I'm going to represent the common man. And in that first scene with his agent, he's like, oh, sure, fine. I can impress the critics and I can make lots of money, but I want to write something for the common man. So he already checked off the list of write for the critics. Yeah, we know that snobbery is immoral. Mm-hmm. Write for money, we know that snobbery is immoral. And then he goes to this, he's trying to carve out this one sacred ground. I'm going to write for the common man.
The moral cause, the only moral cause.
The only moral cause. And it gets completely, it's a 2-hour dismantling of that cause.
Which is, you could almost say immoral to do that, but it's not. It's not actually immoral to dismantle that cause because it's goofy, it's pretentious, basically. And that's kind of the point of the movie. While also, it's funny that the movie is almost arty, but it knows it is, so it doesn't get really that pretentious itself.
I think it's pretty fruity arty, too. But it's the best kind. It's like, I always rail on modern art, but I was a fine art major in college from 84 to 88. We studied Warhol and Basquiat and Duchamp and all these crazy, fruity artists, and I was fascinated by them. So even though I make fun of them, and fruity films I make fun of, it still casts a spell on you. It still does what cinema is designed to do. And I think the Coen brothers have gone through all these conversations because they were writing, they're philosophers, they're philosophy major, poetry major, and filmmaking masters, right? That's what we know about Joel and Ethan. I mean, they're poetry writing majors. And they have to ask themselves, what am I doing? And then they get all of this praise for Blood Simple. And I think that's Barton Fink getting praise for the fishmonger play at the beginning. And then they're asked to come to Hollywood and do a Hollywood
whole thing. Because I remember that was a big praised movie. I remember my mom hating it though, because at the end it's like a guy has a knife like jammed in his throat, but he's still alive. And she's like, I don't think so. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Even though
Bill Park, that mother scratcher, the guy from Raising Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I still kind of like
and Blade Runner. He's in Blade
Runner. Raising Arizona is actually one of my favorite.
From Blade Runner.
Yeah.
You mean the first one?
You mean the? I was going to say Emmett.
Yeah, the first Blade Runner. He's the detective about who interviews Decker.
Emmett Walsh, isn't it?
Yeah, Emmett Walsh.
Yeah, that's right.
Walsh.
The old crusty guy.
I can do this level of evisceration on any Coen Brothers film, like "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" or earlier.
Even that title, "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," it sounds so pretentious. In fact, that's a reference to some other movie about I don't.
Yeah, Sullivan's Travels, and it's a combination. The Man of Constant Sorrows is Homer, so it's got it's Homer mixed, and they're just screwing around. Coen Brothers screw around.
Yeah, they're goofing
and make masterpieces.
They're new boot goofing, you could say.
So I'm not real big on Blood Simple. I actually think it's kind of so grainy and basic that I have a hard time enjoying it. But from Raising Arizona to and I started losing interest around Big Lebowski. So I felt like it really was they were going too low for me in dealing with all the porn and pot jokes and stuff. I just felt like they always operated at a higher tier than that until that movie. And it's like their version. They're trying to do
was the movie that you didn't like? That was when you're cashing out?
I started cashing out by No Country for Old Men. I did not like No Country for Old Men. I've only watched it once in the theater, I think. And
that's a standout movie, though, as being weird even for the Coen brothers.
And everyone goes crazy for it. I'm just not into it. But Hudsucker Proxy, I think, is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah, they have this fun era of like 1940s kind of goofy.
Yeah, and even Fargo, the basicness of Fargo, I really enjoy that stripped down movie compared to Blood Simple. I like Fargo. I like Hudsucker Proxy. I love Miller's Crossing. I've seen these, and in fact, I own
Miller's Crossing might be.
We already reviewed Miller's Crossing.
I own the script for Miller's Crossing and Barton Fink, and they wrote Barton Fink in 2 weeks.
You can almost see it because like the story.
I woke up to a corpse, and then they're like, "This is my masterwork."
They were going through writer's block on Miller's Crossing. So Miller's Crossing took them years to write. They were stuck in writer's block, so they wrote Barton Fink in 2 weeks. Then went back to writing Miller's Crossing.
Counterpoint. You can tell, and Miller's Crossing is like so dense. It's like it's easy to watch, but it's hard to really follow.
Yeah.
But when you watch it multiple times, it's easier to follow because you've seen everything that happens, and you could see how dense and like just so many like plot details and developments one after the other. Whereas Barton Fink is really just a couple of it's almost like 2 acts. It's like he gets writer's block and then murders, and he tries to write the story.
Super cheap and super minimalist, limited sets, limited characters.
But with freaky visuals too, that really work. Again, the end. One of the most iconic things from the movie is wonderful John Goodman running down the hallway as it catches fire with a shotgun to kill these police officers.
I'll show you the life of the mind.
Yeah, which is like him condemning Barton, just making fun of Barton because Barton was like, "Oh, the life of the mind. It's really." There is no map there's no road map for that, he says.
I mean, he's making it's a perfectly valid point.
Yes, he's not wrong, but at the same time, the life of the mind, he's really trying to make it like really important man. It's really nebulous man. And
that's when Barton Fink checks off life of the mind. Movies for I'll show you the common man.
Yeah.
The common man gets checked off that list. Okay, don't go there.
And also the common man himself, secret murderer. There's so the actual common man, he gets checked off. The great writer who turns out to be like not even a functional alcoholic who like his girlfriend, secretary lady is writing stuff for him.
I kind of got the feeling it's because he works in Hollywood. You would driven to drink too. Yeah, in a way it's like he moves to Hollywood and it instantly becomes a fraud. And it's like almost such an on-the-nose joke that it's almost making fun of.
And he's what Barton Fink is going to become.
Yeah, yes.
And Munt murders him.
Yes.
See, I think Munt, because Munt is Barton Fink, I believe it is his subconscious. And because there's no way Munt could have gotten into his room and killed Audrey and gotten out. Barton Fink killed her.
The door's locked.
Yeah, the door's locked. There's one thing I noticed. And
the place is so run down.
Yeah,
the wallpaper is just constantly melting
because that's his subconscious. It's hell. He's on floor 6. There's all this 666 imagery. The heat. He's always talking about the heat.
They're on the 6th floor after.
Yeah. He says 666. He goes, what floor? He goes 6th. He goes 6th floor. Then at the top he says floor 6. So he says 666 3 times. And then Munt, his room number. This is my own theory because the number 23 is an Illuminati conspiracy number.
I don't even know that one.
Famously so. When you see the number 23 in most film and story, they're using literary references to talk about hidden truths and conspiracies. And Munt's room number is 623.
What was the room number in The Shining?
Oh, that's
the one that a whole movie was made about.
The red rum one. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a documentary made about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I saw that one.
It was called Room something.
540 or something? 520?
No.
Look it up.
Yeah, let me see. What's it even? Room 237. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Well, it was off by a couple.
2-3.
But 2-3 in there.
2-3 at the start, and then the number 7 is a number of completion and perfection in the Bible. That's what the documentary claimed, anyways.
There was a lot of goofy theories.
But I'll give you other parallels to Munt and Fink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fink respects Munt and Munt respects Fink. So they're he's like a split personality, Fink is. And I think every shoe in front of each door going down that hallway is another one of his personalities. This is just the one that he's interacting with.
That was a weird detail also. It's like, why are everyone's shoes out? And then you see Steve Buscemi is like collecting the shoes. It's like, oh, that's right. He mentioned earlier the complimentary shoe shine service. Yeah. And their shoes get switched to get, like, there's a part where you can see his shoes where Fink is writing at his typewriter, or he's trying.
Yeah, he puts his foot in and it's too big.
Yeah, it's too big. And he's like, they switched up our shoes, didn't they? And it's like weird that their shoes were so differently sized, but their shoes got switched up together.
And Chet at this weird place comes out of the basement at the start, up the stairs.
That's right. Like
it's like a hell because at the very end when Munt is screaming at him. By the way, for those of you guys who are worried about spoilers, don't be, because no matter how many spoilers you got to watch this movie, like 11, it's 30 years old. I've watched it 11 times. Each time I learn something new. It's not about
it's 30 years old. You run out of your grace period.
It's an experience.
Yeah, the grace period's over. But I mean, even if we spoil everything for you, you're going to see this movie and still see nothing coming. You're going to be like, whoa, what's going on here? Again, you can have it all spoiled and not even know.
And so when he goes at the end, when Munt's...
This video is not so you can enjoy the movie. This video is just telling you to go watch the movie.
And enjoy it with us.
Yes.
So Munt is screaming at him at the end. He says, "You come into my house."
My home, yeah.
He goes, "You're a transient with a typewriter, a tourist with a typewriter. You come into my house," which is the life of the mind and the common man. Mm-hmm. He's going into that place, and he goes, "And you won't listen." Mm-hmm. And Barton Fink is cutting him off on every conversation they have.
Yeah, those earlier conversations, every time John Goodman or Munt is like, "Yeah, I could tell you a story," and Barton Fink, of course, is like, "And you could." That's the thing about the common man. He just he's
philosophizing, and that's where I feel like Barton Fink is very high-minded, snobby.
That's where he comes alive, though. Is most of the time he does actually just listen to people talk. The entire rest of the movie is him listening to people talking.
Yes.
Yeah, and at first he hates Munt. He pushes him out, and after Munt does the murder, he's sad to see him leave. He needs him. He needs the common man. He realizes it's like a crisis.
Plus, it's like the only person he knows in the entire state or that side of the country is that guy. And then the only other people he knows actually are the other, like
they're antagonistic towards him. The other writer who is basically
a non-functional alcoholic.
Yeah, which is great. And he gets killed by Munt.
Yeah.
So Munt kills
producers.
Munt kills the writer. Munt kills the woman. The writer Mayhew wrote a book called Nebuchadnezzar, and
which also gets seen in the Bible later, in the Gideon's Bible.
Yeah, you see in the Bible later about that it says if you can't interpret this dream, you will be cut to pieces.
Cut to pieces, yeah.
The threat. Earlier, when he's meeting with Mayhew, Mayhew says, "Do you want me to tell you about Solomon's mommy?" And Audrey cuts him off from that story.
Yeah, there's a lot of cut off things going on.
Solomon's mom was Bathsheba, and King David had Uzziah murdered so he could be with Bathsheba. And later, Munt kills Mayhew, who is seeing Audrey when Barton needs her to write. So it's kind of it is that I don't think that have you heard about Solomon's mommy when they're talking about Bible stories? I don't think that's an accidental detail. Mom is Bathsheba. David murdered Uzziah. Barton and so if Munt is Barton's murderous common man side that he doesn't want to touch, which is why he reads books and he's so bookish and a playwright.
Escapee.
He also killed the doctor and Munt
says throat doctor.
Yeah, Munt says his parents.
So much anymore.
Munt says his parents are gone, and later it's implied that he murdered them. And Barton gives Munt the address to his parents.
Yeah.
When he goes to New York, it's implied that I think he killed Barton's parents.
Yeah, it's a weird implication because you don't know for sure. They just I can't call him up, and it's like the ultimate. Not just
you can't talk to him.
Yeah, not only the ultimate representation of hell, because it was, it's so on the nose that the hotel is hell, but it's like when he goes to the beach, that's like extra hell because
actually the postcard of the woman sitting on the beach is basically the razor's edge. It's the window into heaven. His only window into heaven.
Yeah,
that he can't actually be like even when he's physically there. It's still basically hell because it's like his parents are dead. He has a decapitated woman's head in a box next to him that he doesn't even know.
He's under contract to a Hollywood producer.
We own what's in your head.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Munt later says, everything I need is in that box, and Barton needed Audrey's mind to write the script for him.
It's funny. She comes over and she's like, "Don't worry, we're gonna solve this. We're gonna get the script written." And she dies, and he gets the script written. So it's like it actually worked.
Yeah, and she banged him. I mean,
First they bang.
She's going to give him what he needs, which is the life of the common man.
You might be thinking also, because then they show like the camera going down the sink drain.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is a metaphor for something. And then you also remember he said
the pipes. Something about pipes.
He could hear everything going on.
Come on, and you hear all the voices.
Yeah, and you can hear like a lot of screaming. In fact, it sounds like the screaming is Munt, like realizing what's going on in the room, and he's like, "Now I have to kill her."
Yeah, and earlier when he talks about the noise that he hears of the people next door,
like two rooms down,
Barton Fink goes, "How would you know?" And he goes, "Oh, the pipes." But
yeah,
he would also know if he was Barton.
Yeah, because in the same room. Yeah.
And so going back to that original thing that I said about the Coen brothers, they will not tie all these things up so it's that easy to figure out because they make sure they put proper distance between Barton and Carl so that you don't just say like in Fight Club, oh, they're the same guy. But they were doing Fight Club long before Fight Club. They were doing adaptation long before adaptation, and that you have the two sides of a writer being wrestled with. The brilliance of Charlie Kaufman as he puts it up on screen and influences his own script.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was actually based on a real book. The Orchid Thief is a real book, but they hired him to adapt it, and that's what he came up with, and he basically ruins it on purpose. And they made the movie. Act still tells you exactly why he does it, because there's nothing else to write about in the book.
Yeah.
He even says from another review, the New York Times book review, it's like there's not enough of this LaRoche character to fill a book, so she expounds in lengthy passages. It's that sprawling New Yorker shit. Yeah, I love that. That's his sum up of the.
So he makes him a drug addict that's trafficking drugs
which at the beginning of the movie he did not want to. Yeah, he points out when he's talking to the Hollywood or not the exec but like representative, he's like, I don't want to do that Hollywood thing where it turns into a drug and they work out their problems and that kind of thing. Life's not like that. It's very. I'm looking for something that is in touch with the common man.
Yeah,
and again, that the Hollywood executive in the movie, or the lady, is the ancient one from
Doctor Strange.
Oh, no kidding. Oh
she actually looks
Tilda
very,
Swinton.
Tilda Swinton looking actually very nice in that, which is funny. She usually plays off of like sort of her masculine features in most movies she's in to make her look sort of weirdly exotic and confusing. But in that, she just looks nice. She looks
cute. She's
feminine.
Also in Three Kings, the David O. Russell movie. If you haven't seen that, that's a really good one. She was in Three Kings. I think she's the one that.
She wasn't the journalist.
I think so. I think she's the one that George Clooney is knocking up in the first scene.
Maybe at the beginning, but
didn't she have a tiny role?
There's that other journalist who is like somebody from Saturday Night Live, though.
Yeah. Yep. I know you're talking about.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie too.
Three Kings is definitely a good movie, though. I mean, I would recommend that too.
I love that movie.
And Spike Jonze. Spike Jonze was one of the four of the Three Kings.
Yes.
And he was like the sort of southern redneck guy
who directed.
He directed Adaptation.
And Being John Malkovich, yes.
Yeah.
Being John Malkovich, which has the old man, and that is Andrew Breitbart's father. The old man on level 11 and a half. See, it's all connected.
The old man that they jump into at the end?
The old man, at the end, who's part of kind of the cult group on.
Yeah, the leader of the cult that jumps into John Malkovich.
Yeah, that's Andrew Breitbart's dad.
All right. Nora Dunn, it says, was the...
Nora Dunn is the actress in Three Kings. Okay, so back to Barton Fink.
Yeah, Barton Fink, though.
Tell me about, what do you think, this is going to go weird, and I don't want to trigger anybody, but what do you think of this compared to a lot of the arguing with Comicsgate? Where you have one side claiming it's just about the money. Mm-hmm. One side claiming it's about art integrity or whatever.
Have you? And that reminds me of And God Spoke. I don't know if you ever seen that.
I didn't see that.
Screaming at each other, art,
money,
the
art.
Director versus the producer.
Yeah,
what's it called?
It's called And God Spoke. It's a couple of like Hollywood, like low budget Hollywood guys are like, we're going to make a movie about the book of all time, the Bible.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah, And God Spoke. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny, and I just that came to mind immediately though. Is at the end the producer and the director who've been like friends and making movies for years and years. At the end, when one of the director, who is all about the art, doesn't want Moses, played by Soupy Sales, coming down off the rock carrying a 6-pack of Coke on the camera. Is like, and the producer's like, it costs money to make these movies, and they just start screaming money, 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 art, art, art at each other.
Oh, I got to see it.
Yeah, it's a good. That's one of the best mockumentaries. Like,
it's kind of Spinal Tap-ish.
Yeah, it's very Spinal Tap. I would say second to Spinal Tap.
So those are my favorite kinds of movies that when they address art integrity, and I think Barton Fink really captures the two brackets of and really a humility towards writing toward the common man, thinking that you have a grasp of, Joe's six pack and the everyman, and the everyman who is the Comicsgate audience.
Yeah, but the audience
act like jackals and we'll tear you apart.
Yeah, exactly. They can go full madman themselves. In fact, I thought Madman Munt, how interesting. He's a kind of he plays nice, he acts nice, he puts on that nice public face.
Pure sociopathy.
To cover up the sociopathy behind it all, where he's now a screaming murderer. And it's like, who does that remind me of?
Me.
Yeah, it reminds me of Doug TenNapel.
That's right.
But
I'll show you the life of the mind.
Yeah, exactly. The life of the mind. It's like, and what does that even mean? The life of the mind. That really just means being a writer. It's like, my job is to think about things. That's all that means.
It's condescending. It's saying like no one else thinks, but only the writer thinks. Is the life
exactly.
Of the mind.
It has nothing to do with the common man. Most of the common man just goes around doing stuff, where the writer, and it does have sympathy too for Barton Fink, where you see him sit there just trying to think of something to write about, and ideas are flying at him all the time. These situations are flying at him all the time that could give him inspiration, but he's really kind of just stuck in. It looks like he's really trying to recreate that first play in the opening.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that's what he does ultimately.
Yeah, about the fish, the call of the fishmongers, and it's in the book of Genesis. So now truth is becoming his fiction.
Yeah, that's right. And that play, the play that he's at the beginning, it's about it's about fishmongers. It's about the common man.
Yeah. He's a one-trick pony, and then sitting on the typewriter.
Yeah, exactly. And he starts writing about fishmongers.
But also it has Dame, Orphan.
Yeah.
It's like these two sacred things that Hollywood keeps passing around like it's just something that you throw out there to get an emotional response, which I think is the Coen brothers asking, what is film?
Yeah, the trope. Yeah,
and storytelling in general.
The dame or the orphan? Is he hooks up with the dame, or there's an orphan? The orphan. A Madman Munt actually says, "My parents were killed." He's an orphan, and then
his parents have passed on.
Yeah, exactly. So he's an orphan, and then the other chick, who was the secretary of the writers, the dame,
who he wants to protect, and she goes, "Oh, you got to find someone, a woman whom he needs to protect." Mm-hmm. She says, "Yeah,"
and she also says that that's usually the scripts that the other author comes up with. For the wrestling pictures, it's like usually he's a guy who's down on his luck, and he has to protect somebody. They especially hate it when he has to protect a simple-minded man. A
simple man, or a simple man. The studios hate that.
Yeah, studios hate that. And again, another hilarious thing that's like, it's almost making fun of writers is the studio just loves Barton Fink. They love him so much that the head of the studio kisses the bottom of his shoe, which is like they would have to ban this movie in the Middle East. That would be so disgusting to them.
Yeah. But and he goes, and he's like, the agent by Tony Shalhoub, who's the best character in the whole thing.
So good too.
Best character I've ever seen him do. But he goes like, he took an interest. Never get Lipnick to take an interest.
Yeah, it's like trying to scare him by saying, the head of the studio took interest in
you.
And
he's right.
You better be
right. Because it's right. Because that's what happens is it's basically like we own what the contents of your head.
Yeah, literally the head of the studio, who's a colonel now in the army.
That's also the ending. Is like he has suddenly been promoted to colonel in the military.
He becomes, I guess, King David, you could say. But at the end, the head of the studio is like screaming at him, fired Tony Shalhoub, just completely out of him, rehired the guy that he said he fired. Polito, I think.
John Polito is Lou is the guy's name.
Yeah, which again he like screamed and is like, "You were fired. You get out of here. You never disrespect the writer." All of a sudden, at the very end of the movie, he's like, "Your writing is shit. You're a terrible writer. I can get 20 guys to do it." And then he's like, "I am never now. You're under contract, so you can write for us." But we're never going to make anything you write. It's the ultimate writer's hell is we'll pay you, but you'll never be seen. Nothing you write will be allowed to be seen.
For the common man. Yeah, we're going to protect the common man from you.
Specifically so that they can never grow beyond their job.
Yeah, I worked with Polito before.
Into a job.
I worked with Polito before.
What were you doing?
I was an associate producer on a Ben Affleck show called Push Nevada, and he was one of the actors. And I told him, like, I loved you in Barton Fink, and I loved you in Miller's Crossing.
Miller's Crossing he's so good in Miller's Crossing, by the way.
And the Man Who Wasn't There, he's in, and Big Lebowski.
Yeah, that was
he's
good.
That's
right. He was in
for a few seconds.
Yeah, Big Lebowski shows up for like 1 minute as a supposedly fellow private detective.
Yeah,
and that's one of my favorite scenes.
Private detective, as opposed to Lebowski. Yeah,
that also had the limo driver was Dom Herrera, who's a stand-up comedian, and he was doing his act. He was like, "I got a rash on my ass so bad I can't even sit down." But you know me, I can't complain. That's from his act. And
did he do the Rodney Dangerfield special? Was he one of those guys?
Yeah, I think he was on one of those.
I think he was one of the early Dangerfield.
He was also on a lot of Dr. Katz. A lot of Dr. Katz.
Oh, okay.
Maximum amount of Dr. Katz.
Yes, but yeah, Dom Herrera is great. Dom Herrera is still around, but now he's old and it's like aging stand-up comedians and stuff. It's kind of they should be enshrined. We should pour molten gold down their throat or something. I don't know, but
forgotten forever. Everything you do.
That's really tragic because and like every time I see Dom Herrera now, he like looks really worn down. And it's like, oh no, that's going to be
like aged another 20 years. He looks like he's 150.
It's going to be me in 5 years. Yeah. Just put me out to pasture.
It's going to have to be mummified.
Let me tell you about the rabbits.
Do you see the rabbits, Lenny? Like, George, I see the rabbits. All right, keep looking right out there, Doug. All right.
Continue to look for as long as possible.
I see the.
And then we just walk away. Then we just forget about you.
We don't even shoot. We just.
I had to keep my job, Lenny. What did you want? I had to keep my job. You're too big of a cause. Too big of a problem. You can't be my friend. I need money for my family.
Well, that sounds familiar. There's so many things we could talk about when it comes to recent other people's recent money troubles, but again, I'm kind of over it.
But this also shows all these themes that we can relate to today.
Yes,
shows that the Coen brothers are tapping at truth in some way,
like a universal truth for hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe.
When Barton Fink is talking to his agent about, how he doesn't want to write for money, he wants to write for the common man. I've had that exact conversation with my agent. When everyone's talking to him, Munt is asking him about the writing, and he's so condescending, like, actually, I'm a writer. I write in pictures. So here he'll downplay the writing and then to Munt use it as a tool. I've done that before to the common man, where someone tells you what they do for a living. You ask them what they do for a living, so then you can tell them what you do for a living. Oh, I make comics and video games. Like, whoa. And then you get the Scooby snack. Mm-hmm. All of that wisdom of and all of the overview of them talking about writing, the disciplines of writing, about 3-act structure and everything. When Lipnick is telling him what's in a wrestler picture, and he's like, we want what's in your head. It's a dream. It's magic. All of the things that he goes through are like 10 different motivations for why you might write something. Mm-hmm. And it's all covered in this story. Everyone repeats dialogue that we've all heard before because it's all true and it's all been said and thought.
Yeah, people quote this movie without quoting this movie because it's just how they're actually talking when they're talking about, like, oh, I want to be a writer or do this. I want to be in touch with the common man.
The Hollywood people tend to speak in cliches like that anyway.
Or like a New York playwright, you could definitely.
That's one of the things I actually really like about the 2 police detectives in this movie. It's like, oh, you're
the most Hollywood man, and they're just assholes.
No, who are great. And
they're great.
This goes into the work. It takes place in 1941. This whole story does. So it's implied.
It looks so 40s. That's another thing the Coen brothers are great at, is that period piece look. It's so good.
It's implied. And so remember, he was at the USO dancing, and he's like, this life of the mind, while they're off He goes, "This is how I serve the common man, by writing," and they're off getting their lives ground up in World War II.
They're going to go get shot by machine guns on them. Accuse him of being 4-H.
And even
says, "Hey, get out of here, 4-H!
Get out of here, 4-H!" And even Lipnick, who at the end is in his uniform, right?
Yeah,
remember what Munt says before he shoots the second cop.
Heil Hitler. Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines in the movie.
He says, Heil Hitler. And so
he says it so weird too. Is Heil Hitler. He's cute. He's adorable about. He's adorable.
So the Coen brothers have been asked about those two detectives before, and said, why are they named Mastronati and Deutsch? Mastronati and Deutsch.
Deutsch.
Italian
name.
They said one's Italian and one's German. He goes, we just wanted them. We didn't want to connect things too much, but we wanted to have two names that represented the Axis. So that's deliberate.
And Deutsch is just Dutch, which is the language that they speak in Germany.
But his name is, it's Franz or something like that, or Frank or something like that. So he is full on.
So German.
Talking about Barton Fink is writing, thinking it is the end all be all. And he's disrespecting the soldiers while a war is going on. He's a Jew who's in Hollywood writing a wrestling picture, is what he chooses to do.
That's another thing the Coen brothers really nail, and they seem to almost attack. And like in Hail Caesar, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of that element, the racial element of Jewish people in this or that, and there's a lot of respect for just non-Jews in general in the movie. Like Fargo is like one of the most non-Hollywood. Like there's not a single Jewish person in it or something.
And they were raised around Fargo. I think they were Jewish, but they were raised in some butt cold state, and I think it was North Dakota. I think is where they got that from, and I think that really influences their view of Judaism. First of all of the Goy always just rip on the Jews in their stories, are just real super racist.
I mean, even the producer is dropping some hard.
He calls them the K word. So I'm
several
saying,
times.
Yeah, their view of their own religion. I mean, they're not religious, but I'm saying they're culturally Jewish, definitely, and they definitely feel like outsiders in the Goy land.
Do you think they might be self-loathing Jews?
Self-loathing. Well, that is the stereotype. That is the stereotype.
Stereotype. Yes.
Is that they're, I should say, self-aware. Let's not use self-loathing. Self-aware.
It's funny. I never heard that term before until Larry David. There's an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where he's just waiting in line for something, and he whistles something by Wagner. He's like, "That was Hello, Dolly." Yeah. Some Jewish guy comes up to him and is like, "What was that tune you were whistling?" He was like, "I don't know, Hello, Dolly," because he's just
no, it's Wagner, and Wagner was
Wagner's Hitler's favorite composer.
Yeah.
And the guy goes right up in Larry David's face and says, "You know what you are? You're a self-loathing Jew. Where is your Judaism?" And then, of course, Larry David is just being so Larry David-y. He's like, "Judaism, where are you?" He's just being a goof. He does not care. He doesn't really care. I was never really familiar with any of that until I guess it really helps to watch a lot of TV and movies, so you can learn more about
have a Jewish. If you had one Jewish friend,
one, which we didn't. We never did. There's no Jews around here. There ain't no Jews. Well, there's some doctors and lawyers and stuff.
I think having a Jewish friend is like having a Christian friend, though, because like my Jewish friend, they're super Jews. And so if you have a Christian friend, they're super Christian.
Yeah, they have a lot of history to pull from, really, like thousands of years of beautiful traditions from Moses to Sandy Koufax. Yeah,
it's a developed culture, well-developed culture. But you guys, there's atheist culture too. I mean, go rip on the god of evolution, and you'll just hear it all day.
Soviet Union.
Yeah, you might as well be.
Have you heard the good news of this flying spaghetti monster?
Yeah, I've heard all about the flying spaghetti monster.
You know what? And that's something I have actually never heard of until recently. I mean,
But again, Barton Fink, it has all those elements of like the Coen brothers being aware of like the sort of the ethnic and the cultural history, but also it's just about a story about kind of the simple things.
About writing. But okay, another thing, getting into the religious thing a little bit, is when he's taking the elevator down to see the detectives, it's right after he wrote that part of the script and looked in the Bible, and his script appeared in Genesis.
Yeah, right at the beginning.
And he talks to the elevator guy going down, and he says, ever read the Bible, Pete? And his name is Pete, which is a total New Testament Goyim name. You know what I mean? Peter.
Peter, yeah.
Like no Jews named Peter. And Pete, who plays the devil in the Coen brothers' Hudsucker Proxy. He's the devil in that one.
And he looks so craggy.
He looks just like the devil, and he's going down. And so this is the same way that the Coen brothers are kind of on their religious Judaism. Pete says, I've heard of it. I think I've heard of it before.
Familiar with it, I guess. He's like, yeah, I suppose, whatever.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I can imagine people have heard of it. But yeah, that elevator operator is sort of like not to mix too many metaphors, but he's like Charon, the river Styx man. He's taking him across to the different realm. Because that lobby is like a really creepy place too, because it's always empty and it's big and kind of almost vast. It's
beautiful and lush, and this is the first time there's all these green trees are like giant banana trees living in there. When Barton Fink first comes up to the front desk to see Chet, there's one plant behind him in a pot on a big pedestal, and it's dead. It's the only dead thing in the whole thing, and he walks right in front of it, sitting right over his left shoulder, just sticking out. Like I go, oh, look, it's the only dead plant in the whole place, and here comes Barton. It just seems these are symbols and things. I'm just going like they dress that set to the T.
Yeah, you can't.
Why would they put a dead plant there?
Yeah, that's always intentional, and sometimes
it has a spotlight on it. It's the only plant sitting in the middle of the thing with a sunlight coming down on it. It's dead.
Again, there's so many details in the movie too that, like The Shining. When I watched that documentary about like all the conspiracy theories of The Shining,
the Indian heads on the
Indian head on the can being turned sideways in this shot, but not in the previous shot. He knew what he was doing there. All these people saying that, and a lot of that is true. A lot of that is absolutely true. A director and the cinematographer knows.
Yeah, you have a set dresser to dress the hell out of that thing, man. They concentrate on it all day.
They're very, I won't say obsessive, but they definitely notice the attention to detail. And a lot of it's completely intentional, as it needs to be. But also, it might make you wonder, well, what does that mean? Why would that mean something? But it doesn't have to mean something that you're aware of. It just, in a way, has to mean something.
So what was your feeling? I want to get your guys' feelings or thoughts when you're done with the movie, because we're talking about it now in a very academic way. But what is the feeling in your heart and mind that you just saw? Because how do you describe Barton Fink to someone else? It's allegedly about writer's block, but it's about.
Yeah, I don't think it's even about writer's block so much as just the idea of the writing process, but the unrealized version of it. But then the movie is fully realized.
For me,
it's really is like a satire on writing.
It really is more about Hollywood to me. It's about putting yourself into a system, the meat grinder, as Patrice O'Neill called it.
Yeah.
People jump into the jaws of the machine on purpose. Why do they do that? Because when they're in the jaws, they get $2 million a week.
Yeah.
And what do you think that says about the Coen brothers, Pat? That are they making a big statement? Because, they're like.
It does also kind of remind me of the, the Max Landis thing. He was talking about getting into the whole Hollywood system. And then after that, you see like all the reviews of his movie, the other movies he's done. And it's like, he's sold out now. But it's like, he probably doesn't get it. If you want to be part of that system, you have to end up kind of bending the knee, as it were, kiss the ring so that you can continue to be part of the system.
And if you intentionally try to choose to stay out of that, then it's like you're going to be a nobody, and they're going to make sure that your stuff never gets seen if they can help it.
I don't remember. Did they ever read his script that he wrote? The Barton Fink, when he finally busted out and wrote it, he took it to Lipnick? Did they read it and say it was terrible, or did they not read it at all and he put on the government uniform? I forgot.
Well, the implication, because they say like, Lipnick can't even read. He doesn't read. Just give him the broad details, that kind of stuff. So it's that's hard to say, because it's possible he didn't read it. Somebody else, in fact, the guy that he fired and rehired may have read it for him and decided to tell the boss.
It was fruity.
It sucks. It's terrible. Because again, he didn't have an opinion of the play. He never saw it. Yeah. He was like, I heard it was kind of fruity, but it was pretty good. You know, all the credit he was going.
And Barton tells him, though, it's no offense, but it's the finest thing I've ever written.
Yeah, exactly. And possibly, and what does that mean? Does that mean it would make the best movie? That's the most crowd.
I'm saying, what does it mean to the Coen brothers working in Hollywood? Because that's to me the big picture of this movie. What do you think they're saying about that?
I mean, it just seems like a condemnation, doesn't it, of the whole system
and themselves.
They're definitely not very friendly towards the Hollywood system.
Yeah, they seem like it's a condemnation of themselves for feeling like they sold out by making movies with any studio, which, I mean, they weren't exactly making big studio movies, although at that time they kind of were. I mean, their movies.
They became the top writer by that time. I mean, they were considered the guy. And then here, in a way, all Barton Fink gets out. He leaves Hollywood. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with his story. He doesn't know he's in flux, but he's sitting there on the beach with a severed head. And all he gets out of life is looking at this beautiful woman. I think there's a tiny crossover to Big Lebowski. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
At the start of that movie, it's there's a tumbleweed on a beach.
And also the Big Lebowski, when they go to scatter the ashes, it's sort of like on a cliffside.
Back on the cliffside. And it's the City of Angels, says, what's his face? Sam Elliott.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think he plays an angel in that movie when he's at the bar.
Seems to.
And he doesn't like the cussing. He doesn't like the cussing.
Yeah, and he's the narrator. Everything that happened. Yeah, he's the narrator of things that never happen around him or to him.
Yeah, he asks for the sarsaparilla because he doesn't slug alcohol, and then
Sioux City sarsaparilla.
Yeah,
but it's also
he kind of likes Lebowski. He's like, the dude abides.
And the movie has a lot of respect for him too. He's just a country cowboy type, very southerny. But the movie is definitely, treating him like an angel.
He's an angel, I'm telling you. He's an angel. Because he's talking about the city of angels.
Yeah, it treats him like he is one. And that's, again, that's like a Coen Brothers thing where they have shocking respect for, like, the Midwest.
Yeah.
And I think that's
where they're from. So I think that scene at the end of the ocean is Barton Fink finding some kind of enlightenment. He goes from looking at that picture, hearing the ocean. We see cutaways to that rock at the beach getting splashed upon. He keeps hearing the ocean at moments of inspiration.
Yeah.
And then now he's in that picture that he was dreaming of back in his
represents
apartment.
Peace. Yeah, that picture represented peace and tranquility, and now he's actually in it. And the question is he still seeing it from that disconnect, or is he actually there and realizing, I can just write stuff, they'll pay me, I can just enjoy the weather. Again, you were talking about how you lived in California, it was just nice there.
Oh, that is paradise. And I would think to the Coen brothers, I think the beach is a special place to them too.
Yeah, getting paid to just sit there. Yeah, there's a lot of love for California as like a physical place too, not so much the people, although they have a lot of respect for just people in general. If anyone respected the common man, it kind of is them, isn't it?
And he carries the forever burden and guilt of the murdered head of his muse.
Yeah.
He has to bring with him to the beach. He's sitting there in his full suit. He lays it down.
Mute. Yeah, he has to keep it. It's how he's going to be able to write, apparently.
Yeah, and she looks back. What's in the box? I don't know.
It's like, is it yours? I don't know. And he really there's no way to know. It sounds like he's completely lost his fucking mind.
And Munt earlier in a scene says, "Oh, and I lied. That's not mine. It's yours."
But he doesn't say it's yours. He says the box isn't mine.
The box isn't mine, implying it's his.
It's his, or no, it's nobody's. But the fact that he has it with him.
No, I think it's Barton because Barton killed her. I think it's his, and Munt is like this weird version of him. that helps pull it off. No one could have killed her in that room. And Munt comes into the room and he's surprised. He's like, he throws up, just like Mayhew. Yeah. He goes in and he throws up. I'm telling you, man, it's the Coen brothers are jacking with you because they lay all these symbols out. They tie them together just so far enough that you can't put them all together.
I kind of got the feeling that you could also take the movie completely literally.
Yeah, you could do that if you want.
Delete the symbolism, the movie still makes perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's the best way to do it. If you delete the symbolism and the movie doesn't work, I think you've kind of failed. But that movie works perfectly even without the
first 3 times I saw it, I didn't notice any of the symbology. I just loved it for what it was. In a way, and didn't understand a lick of it. The experience was great.
Yeah, the wallpaper coming off the walls, I was like, okay, there's something up with it. The first time I saw it, like I was like 18 or something. I knew there was something up with that. But I was like, why? How come they're focusing on that? I don't get it. What's it? And then I actually read a review that was like, it's hell. And that represents like the heat is making the wallpaper feel. It's like, oh, okay. It's actually pretty simple.
But the way the Coen brothers made it, they wanted to make sure that it wasn't just bury the needle hell. So it's wrong to say this is this and that's that. Because I think the Coen brothers are saying something about their worldview, which is, and they tap into this a little bit about the one that's about the Book of Job. What movie is that? It's like their lowest.
A Simple Man.
A Simple Man.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I actually have on DVD, have not seen it yet.
They go into a lot of Judaism in that, where he actually meets with the Jews and he's asking about the meaning of life and this storm is coming that's going to take all this stuff out. I think they're saying that the world is this way, that there's connected details and things that we know have meaning, but we can't fully connect the dots. Is I think what they're saying about the arts, writing, love, good and evil, who they are. I think they're making a worldview statement with Barton. That life is a lot like having writer's block. You get a lot more of that in A Simple Man, actually. But it's like life is about kind of this frustrating thing that's just outside of your reach.
Yeah, too big to fully perceive by anyone. And like you were saying that there's like 10 different motivations for why he would write anything at all, especially this story. And it's like, yeah, you can't have like all of those at the same time. You can have a few. It's like you could touch on a few things at once, but you're never going to make the one story. That's definitely a young writer thing. It's like, I'm going to make the great American novel. It's going to have everything in it. And then you can't do that. You cannot do that with one story.
Yeah. And I've held every one of those motivations at one point in my career.
Yeah, like rotating out in and out.
You just go, it's not for money, it's just for art. It's just for money, I just need to pay some bills. Or this is for the critics, I'll really impress people.
Yeah, exactly. He only goes to Los Angeles. He's trying to talk himself out of going to Los Angeles, but they're like, the money you could make from this, you could bankroll a ton of your works.
And that, to me, that's one of the more important conversations. That's the first scene with his agent.
That's right
in New York. Remember what he says? He goes, the common man will still be here when you
get back. You get back. Yeah.
And he goes, who knows? You might even enjoy yourself or something like that.
He says you might even find a couple while you're there.
Yeah.
And Barton
and he goes
like, oh, there's no.
He says that's a not justification, but that is a
rationalization.
That's a rationalization.
And then the agent says that was a joke.
That was a joke. That's another reason to write, just to be funny. I think that's what causes Barton Fink to go to Hollywood. Is they go, we're just going to have some fun. With the common man.
Yeah, Barton is so humorless for the entire movie. He's very dour. And again, you're like the subconscious counterpoint is Madman Mutt. He's a counterpoint in every way. Like Barton's like short and gangly and skinny. Mutt is like big, fat, tall. He's boisterous.
Out of your weight class. Out of two weight classes.
Exactly. He actually wrestles. He seems to have a lot of dirty stories that he doesn't get to tell.
And he even says like, hell, I couldn't write. I couldn't think if I had to be like you, Barton. Like they're compliments of the same man.
Yeah, he's like, I would be out of my league if I had to outthink you or something.
Of my weight class.
Yeah, exactly. Because they try to wrestle one time and it's like over in like 2 seconds.
So it could be that the Coen brothers are also saying that doing the little jaunt that they wanted to have in cinema cost and hanging with the common man which in the end, Barton Fink, I think, would claim it was good to do. Mm-hmm. He's a whole man at the beach at the end, I think.
He might be about to become one anyway. He seems like broken and lost and confused, but he might be on that verge, right on the cusp.
He gets the girl. He's with the girl, and it's just he's surrounded by beauty. He has found
with two girls.
He's two girls' heads. One girl thinks, and one just looks good in a bikini.
Yeah. It's actually the best of both worlds. He has the mind and the brains and the body with the girls.
And that girl was that's Billy Joel's ex-wife. What's her name? Uptown Girl.
Oh yeah, wasn't she?
I don't know.
That was his wife.
I kind of recognized her though. Yeah, and she just looks.
Christy Brinkley.
Oh yeah, Christy.
That was Christy Brinkley.
Because she was also a news lady too, wasn't she? Back in the 80s, 90s? Or am I thinking of something else? Or was she a model?
She was a model.
Definitely a model.
It's funny though. One of the last lines in the movie is, "Are you in pictures?" She's like, "You're very beautiful. Are you in pictures?" And she's like, "Don't be silly," which is not even close to an answer.
Oh, it's so good. I just want to see it again, and it bugs me that it still casts a strong spell. And how old were they when they wrote that? Like maybe what 20.
I know
27 or 28.
Some real Alexander of Macedonia shit going on there.
They were kids, and for them to grasp the vocabulary of Hollywood and film and writing
and writing especially. That when you ask like, what's the movie about overall? That's what I think about is just the experience of not just writing, but wanting to be a writer with like a capital W writer. You know, that's what the movie really stands out to me. The one thing that really stuck in my mind, well, two things, is him pointing to his head saying, "This is my uniform," and the hallway of fire with Heil Hitler.
Yeah, and the fire's just, as he's running forward, the fire's just racing down the walls. Yes, that's a supernatural event. That is not a natural, straightforward event.
Absolutely. That's when the movie like almost drops the pretense of symbolism, and it's like there's no symbolism here. It's just hell. It's just
actually. I believe that Munt just basically walks to his death.
Yeah. He goes back into his room, but like the whole place on fire. There's definitely nothing literal about that either, though.
It's a fairy tale. So even saying it's hell is probably too much, because I don't know if the Coen brothers believe in hell, but they're using hell symbology to mean something, that this is Munt's home, and he's going to go in that room, though his house has been burned down.
The suffering and pain and stuff, which Barton was whining about earlier.
And he's liberated.
Yeah. That's the thing. Barton was like whining about like, you don't know how miserable and painful it can be.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite quotes too.
Yeah. And again, that's like with people quote that on accident without ever intending to, because some people just talk like that. Some people, you just feel like that sometimes. You feel miserable, and it's like, no one knows what it's like to be me mad.
How old were they when they wrote that?
I don't know, but I have to figure they're in their 20s, because they would have to be like 80 now otherwise or something.
Let me look it up.
That is a good question.
Powerful.
I hope they weren't in their early 20s. Thing is, you could tell that they were getting a lot of experience.
I feel like I'm about to get really angry here.
Yeah, you're going to get furious. They were born in 54. They were probably writing that in 89.
So they would actually be kind of old.
No.
54. They would be
super old.
64, 74, 84. They were 30. They were 30-something.
That's kind of actually interesting. But I mean, they had a lot of movies and work under the belt. They have been doing a lot of stuff. And that's how you get to write something like Barton Fink, is you have a lot of experience writing and trying to write and failing to write and succeeding in writing. And all of a sudden it's like, I want to make a movie about how annoying it was trying to write that last movie that we just wrote. Something like that. And
they were 33 when they wrote it. Between 30 and 33.
That makes sense.
Now
there's no way. There's no way. That's from another planet.
Yeah, it is kind of. Well, here's my theory on that is they made movie after movie. And were you saying that they were trying to make Miller's Crossing?
Yeah, they were in the middle of writing Miller's Crossing, came upon writer's block, and then wrote Barton Fink, then went back to writing Miller's Crossing. Then they made Miller's Crossing. Then they made Barton Fink because the script was laying around and it'd be easy to shoot on a low budget.
I think, yeah, Barton Fink is the impression I get from that. And I've heard the same thing said about FLCL or Furry Cree, whatever it's called. Is that it was made as like vent art. It was so that the creators could vent just, you know, their inner ideas, all the stuff that they want to just get out onto film or a page, whatever, that they could never do otherwise. And it's like, okay, even if this doesn't make any sense, I want to just make this story that says what I've been feeling. And that's what art is really supposed to do, is to sort of put into words or visuals what you can't really describe otherwise. And that's really, Barton Fink has a lot of a feel of that, is getting out something that they couldn't
But
do.
now if the Coen brothers make a movie, do you relish the thought of going to see it, like going to see it just totally blind?
With True Grit, I did. I absolutely did.
I'm saying if you hadn't heard of the title, don't you think, well, maybe I'm going to get the folk song one, or maybe I'm going to get Simple Man, or maybe I'm going to get.
Well, I saw. What was the one about the not Bob Dylan?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, the folk one, whatever it is. But that's the one. That's one of the only ones I haven't seen.
Yeah, I saw that at Redbox, and I was like, "What's this?" And it says by the Coen brothers. And it's like, does that mean they produced it? Is that, I never heard of this? Is this a Coen brothers?
It's a
movie?
Coen brothers movie.
And like it came out, and I ignored it because I was like, I don't know if they even made this. Did they direct it? Did they write it? Is it like their next Fargo? But nobody's talking about it. What's going on? I don't get it.
People stop talking about their stuff. I think when I went to see Barton Fink in the theater, which I saw at the Ken Cinema in San Diego, a little art house place.
Oh, San Diego.
My mind was blown. I didn't know what to think when I left. I barely even had an opinion of it. It was so bizarre.
That's how I felt first time I saw it.
Me.
I was like, I don't know if I have an opinion about this.
And then Hudsucker Proxy came out after. Was it Miller's Crossing or was Fargo? I think it was.
I think Fargo came after all those. So I think it was
Barton Fink, Hudsucker
Miller's
Proxy.
Crossing. Yeah, I think Hudsucker Proxy came out.
Because that's another one of my favorite movies. And that one they wrote with Sam Raimi back when they first got out of school.
It looks very Sam Raimi-y too.
That's the earliest script they've written that has been on screen. They wrote that before Blood Simple.
And that one's very fun too. It kind of stands out because the others can be like weird and creepy, but Hudsucker Proxy is just like a goofy fun thing. Which again, very reminiscent of Sam Raimi on his own too.
And Sam Raimi also had a role in Miller's Crossing. He's the gangster that gets mowed down with a Tommy gun. He comes out, he's like, "Hey, you coppers!" and they machine gun him. That's Sam Raimi.
Oh, out of the bar, is that they shoot him and then they look around like, what just happened? And they're like, okay, everyone, and don't they firebomb the place right after too? That's great.
That's great.
As far as adaptation, because this is supposed to be like a dual review,
I
also want to say this might be our last stream ever. Because I feel like
Forever.
Because it's stupid and you're a slave for hooking yourself up to an internet teat and won't look for the audience and praise of others.
Well, I don't even want that. To be honest, I don't want to make videos for the common man. I don't even want to make videos for myself.
For the critics or for yourself.
I don't want to make videos at all. I want to just make comics. And what's happening is,
I just want to write and make comics, but unfortunately, writing is a dead end.
Yeah, writing is a real. It's a mug's game. It's a real waste of time. But and plus, being campaigned against, in a way, you could say, by people who don't like art, people who are antithetical to art, don't like art, they think they like money, but they're not even really doing it for the money. That's
power. Power.
Yeah, that's exactly. And power is always really fleeting too, which is even sadder. But they think people thinking they're doing it for money. But the thing is, I have a lot more opportunity to actually write and make comics. And now that I'm getting more opportunity to be involved in that, I'm like, well, I think I'm done with videos. We'll still do like some movie reviews, but scheduling stuff like weeks ahead of time is like, oh, I got to make sure I'm awake at that hour. It's just like, I would prefer not to do that anymore.
I agree.
Never ever wake up at the correct time for the rest of my life.
I look at all of my online stuff, especially Twitter, and I go, how much money have I made on YouTube, or how much money have I made on Twitter? Because it's marketing, right? And you just look at the analytics on Indiegogo, which is my current job, and I just go, it's not significant. It's not significant.
Like taking away money. It's like, I mean, there's something to be said for like doing these videos for fun, to just like show up on a stream and just have fun. And that's really why we're doing this. We're not doing this for any amount of money, because I can't imagine we'll get any money from this. Although,
don't do it for money. Don't do hardly anything for money, because you'll get let down when you find out how little money most things that you want to do pay. Yeah,
all I really want to do is be able to not even break even. I just don't want to have to like go deeper into debt to get comics made. And it looks like that's about to happen though. And in order for that to fully happen, I basically have to stream less and do less video. I can go on other people's streams. My invite is always open. Yeah, I can always go on your stream, Tim. Whenever anyone wants to have, really anyone who wants to have.
You're free as a guest, but you're not going to run the show anymore.
Yeah, I don't like running the show, and I never have. I really never have. But at the same time, we had to do this in order to get where we are right now, which is to finally get back off of this. But again, it's always good to talk. I still wanted to go a little more into adaptation because of the writer's block for that.
So we've talked about the other movie, we definitely talked about Adaptation a lot.
Yeah, we've talked about Adaptation a lot in the past. I think in other videos.
It's brilliant. It's great. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and the writer's block in that
about it
has we have just talked about it by talking about Barton Fink, but the writer's block in that has like so much less justification because it's from a book that's already written. But he also says, like, I can't structure this because there's no 3-act structure. There's no overarching narrative. The story doesn't end. The people who are in it, it's a real life story. Their lives, they're still alive. So their story doesn't end. But the book ends with, they go and try and find the ghost orchid, which supposedly actually exists, but it's so rare, like, people can't barely
And so
find
Charlie writes a dumb twin character,
a big dummy
who got nominated for Best Writer that year, by the way,
for the Three. Wasn't it the book or his movie? The Three was the movie that he was.
Here's another movie we should probably.
No, I'm saying in real life, Charlie Kaufman and Donald Kaufman were nominated for Best Screenwriter because he credits his fictional character with co-writing the movie.
Oh, so they got nominated for adaptation, you mean?
They got nominated for adaptation.
So a person who doesn't even exist was nominated.
By the way, same thing with the Coen brothers, who always edit their own films under the name Roderick James. Roderick James has been nominated as Best Editor also.
And he doesn't exist. I've seen like Ethan and Joel like credited as editors sometimes.
Yeah, they did, but they usually do Roderick James.
Which is weird because they take the director and writing and producing credits for their own name. But
the foreword to the script that I have of Miller's Crossing is written by Roderick James, and he just insults the Coen brothers through the whole thing. They wrote it.
So again, there's something very like self-deprecating and they want to be self-critical so that somebody is policing them, because like if they weren't policing themselves, basically no one would be, and they would probably just derail themselves. And that's one thing. That's another huge writer fear is, what if nobody can control me and I turn into just such an egomaniac, pretentious art fag?
And that's Charlie Kaufman and the Coen brothers, who are self-aware that they come off that way, and they also think it's funny, and they're making fun of themselves even though they're trapped in themselves.
Because it's the biggest writer danger is to
condescend.
To condescend and become pretentious and really lose like your sense of yourself and your frame of yourself, of where you're even supposed to.
But how can a writer not condescend? You're telling a story to an audience, all of which can tell a great story and have told great stories and probably live better stories than what you're writing.
Yeah.
And yet you're telling them, pay me to tell you a story, and you will read it. And then if they love it, it's even worse on you.
And I'm the god of the story. I'm the puppet master of all these characters. I'm going to slap them around at my own will. It's just
you will adore me. You will adore me.
Yes.
Aren't I the best writer, most creative person you've ever met?
A lot of people out there who are not good storytellers. They might be able to. They might have good stories. They're terrible at telling them, though.
Yeah, like every Transformers movie. Every Transformers.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at those.
Those are big box, and they sit there and they say, "But look at the box office. I'm a winner."
Yeah, if they make too much money, we can't stop making them. Or there's a lot of comic books that you could say, very terrible stories and badly told.
Almost all of them.
Tragedy. And that's one of the things about comics is that really makes me feel like Barton Fink is like, I'm going to get into comics because I'm going to be the one who really fixes it. And it's like the reality of being able to do that is probably like, again, I'm never going to write the one comic book that people are going to be. Even The Watchmen wasn't that kind of story because The Watchmen is just like one aspect of a billion different stories you could tell, even with those same characters.
Yeah. I still think every writer is better than every critic that ever existed. So if you put your name on something and you create something and you put it out there and you're putting your skin in the game and saying, what do you think of this?
Mm-hmm. You're willing to take a risk.
You put blood, you put it on the line, you walked it and said, what do you think of this?
Sometimes the critic, like a critic can be the worst writer possible because then they're writing from the aspect of like, well, if I was criticizing this, I would be like, this sucks, this is stupid, this is cliched, whatever. Whereas a writer's like, I don't care if it's cliched, sometimes if it works, it has to work like this. Like being too analytical about your own shit. You want to be analytical though, because you don't want to be like you don't care. You don't want to be just like thrown out there, whatever.
It's you. I steal this quote from Terry Taylor. I wrote it in my Earthworm Jim making of. It's an artist. You open up a vein and let the ink bleed out. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to write in someone else's voice with someone else's values. And that's why if you just tell the truth as best you can, you're putting yourself on that page and you're asking everyone to either love it or eviscerate it. And if they love it, they love you. And if they hate it, they're hating you.
Sometimes I think it helps to, like the tails gets trolled approach, write something that's intentionally stupid. Yeah. For fun, for yourself, for fun or whatever. And it's like sometimes, people might just like that just for a fun way, but also you might get that out of your system and be able to be like, okay, this I'm going to have a different approach. You can still have it be stupid fun in some other ways, but you don't have to make the whole thing that way if you've made something that is, as long as it's how you want it. If you look at it, like that was something that surprised me, like 2010 when I started writing comic scripts in earnest, and I wrote like the thing I pitched a few days ago. It's like a 9-issue story, and when I finished it, I was like, "This is the exact story I wanted this to be," and I was like surprised that I was able to do that. I wanted to go out dancing and punching sailors. And this is my uniform. It's so wonderfully pretentious. But just prancing around and,
I love it.
And lecturing these like
I'm a writer.
I'm a writer. Yeah, again, every writer at some point
telling a room full of soldiers.
Yeah, it's necessary at some point to want to do that. But and I'm sure the Coen brothers absolutely wanted to just go up to people's faces and go, "I'm a writer," but at the same time knowing how stupid that is, and I think them getting that out of their system is healthy for them. Because then they could go and make Miller's Crossing that has none of those things too.
Yeah. It's just a great, straightforward film.
Yeah,
so Barton Fink is a look in their mind, and then Miller's Crossing is back to just normal, great storytelling.
Yeah, like it very
like almost all
intricate too.
Yeah, it's tight plot.
on the characters and almost all on the plot.
Well, the characters are still frothy. To me, a character doesn't have to have a lot of lines, right? When they open their mouth, you know exactly who they are and what they're about.
Gabriel Byrne's a messed up guy in Miller's Crossing. In fact, he's a gambling addict. I almost forget that when I rewatch the movie. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. He's a complete degenerate gambler the entire time. Yeah. He's always in debt. These guys are punching him in the stomach, and then other people are punching him in the stomach for completely different, unrelated reasons. And it's really put upon, but he's also kind of a mastermind, but then a mastermind on accident through sheer luck sometimes.
And that movie, if I had to guess, is about honor among thieves, because he loses his hat at the beginning, and back then a man wore a hat was his honor. It's what separated us from the monkeys, is we wear hats.
More ridiculous than a man chasing his own hat.
Chasing his own hat. That's in the dream. He loses his hat, and then at the end, he puts that hat on, and we know everything's going to be okay. He strikes a pose, and he puts that hat on. He got his honor back because he made right by his boss. He leveled with his boss.
So he's also out of the game. He's walking away from his boss too, and
he's probably going to die even, but he's comfortable in his own skin.
That was Albert Finney, I think, was the boss. And it's funny because Albert Finney comes off as like such an idiot for the entire of the movie until like two hitmen come to his house, and all of a sudden he's like a warrior commando,
Tommy gun wielding ninja.
Yes, he's an artist with a Thompson. One of the most freakishly violent movies. I think we mentioned this in a previous video too, but it all bears repeating, of course. I still want to get back to Adaptation for a little bit.
Sure, go.
Because
what about the ants? Like there's a key theme with like ants and evolution in that he starts with.
The bees too. I think the ants are kind of in a different representation of the bees, because ants also will tend to like plants and flowers.
Yeah.
The bees for the pollination. Yeah,
bees
for the orchid.
But I've for orchids especially. But I've seen ants. In fact, there's a weird, like a few doors down from our house, there's a weird tree that has these like tube leaves that are like glued shut, and then ants come and take the glue, and the leaves unfurl into these giant wide leaves. I don't have any idea what kind of tree this is, but ants are clearly a necessity to the existence of this tree.
Symbiotic.
Yeah, and again,
not parasitic like that.
So is that a theme in Adaptation? Is it talking about it's called Adaptation because he's both adapting a script, but it also has a double meaning of Charlie Kaufman adapting to Hollywood to get this thing made.
And people's lives adapting in general. Like the LaRoche guy, his life is thrown into bizarre turmoil, and he's constantly trying to adapt to whatever his interests are leading him to, which even he doesn't know.
Adaptation himself, but also it seems it kind of gives.
They're making fun of him, Chris Cooper at the dinner table. I love that scene.
Oh yeah, that was brutal. Where they're making fun of him. He's got missing teeth, and it's like, oh, this goofy country hick. But again, it's like the New York.
And Meryl Streep clearly loved him.
Yeah. Well, like it's, or at least had a respect for him as a human being because of the like one of the greatest scenes in like the car crash scene where Chris Cooper's in the car, he's backing out. He's like, hey, things are going cool.
Which is one of the most insane car wrecks I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's brutal, and it's like really tear-jerking because it's not just the sudden car accident, but you can tell people died, and he, like, his mouth is all bloody, his teeth, that's how his teeth got knocked out. And he's like, which ones are dead? Which ones are dead? And you find out, like, his mom died from that, and he loved his mom. And his wife was in a coma, and when she came out of the coma, she left him, and he blames her. And again, that's a form of adaptation, of moving, like the human animal, like adapting to horrific situations and life, traumatic life stuff. It was something I said to Jim Goad once about how he hates Keith Lee now, who was once a co-host of his podcast, and it's like. Yeah, I guess Keith Lee, he made mistakes and stuff, and it's kind of weird to think like tarantulas and ferrets don't look back on the rest of their lives with remorse or regret, but all of us human beings do, and we have to grow and adapt from like something you just said. Like you say something and 10 years later you can be like, wow, that ruined my fucking life. That's terrible. Yeah. A tarantula would never say that because tarantulas don't talk, but they're also not going to dwell on
no memory. Like animals also don't really have a memory.
Yeah, and humans do, and in a way, that's kind of one of the things about adaptation is that humans having that memory, such an expansive memory too, and it kind of makes life harder to have that memory.
What is it about Chris Cooper's character, LaRouche or whatever, who...
Yeah, it's LaRouche, I think.
LaRouche, who loves the hunt of the orchid. He's fascinated by it, especially
and other things too.
Yeah, especially by this ghost orchid.
Yeah.
That is out of his grasp. And yet Meryl Streep's character as a writer, she's kind of the innocent of them. She's fascinated by him falling into his life. And that's why at that dinner, it's such an offense that they're dismissing him as a dumb guy. And she thinks there's something very wise that he has that she doesn't have.
The dumb, like Southern hick Midwesterner, of course, too, is another thing. Like the Coen brothers always have that. And this movie has that too, where it has a real respect for the kind of dumb hick guy, because you never know. The guy's like he even LaRouche describes himself as the smartest guy I know.
Yeah,
which is probably true because he comes off like kind of a genius, but without direction.
He can talk to the Indians.
He legitimately knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, in fact, the great early scene also. You were just watching this again last night. I didn't rewatch Adaptation, but my brother did. I haven't
watched it in years. It's been a long time.
It's still really good because it's just entertaining. Except
I need to watch it. I love it. I need to watch it.
Yeah. We didn't even bring up McKee because you pull up the book. You have story.
Yeah, I have it here. Yeah, right here.
Which they're reading all throughout the movie.
So they're this is what every real writer in Hollywood, including Charlie Kaufman, hates.
Yes, but this also needs.
But maybe needs. Yeah, maybe. I'm saying maybe. Because I hate it. As a writer, I hate it also.
But you kind of need to read it.
I resent that there's a guy that takes the magic out of what we do and says, here's a formula.
Exactly. And that's what Hollywood movies have, like all the Marvel movies really have boiled down to such a formula. And I think it works. The formula works.
Yeah. But Charlie won't do the formula, and Donald, the twin brother, is reading the book and going to the seminars.
Yeah, exactly.
And ends up having this huge break. What's the breakthrough at the big seminar that he asks him a question or something and he answers?
Yeah, he asks him about
about life or something.
He asks him about wanting to make a movie about
that nothing really happens.
Yeah, what if there's a movie where nothing really happens? He's like, "Lie, you haven't experienced life," and ends up being.
He says, "What if I want to?" Yeah, what if I want to make a movie where nothing really happens, something a little more like real life? And McKee up there played, I forgot the guy's name who played McKee again, though.
I always thought it was Albert Finney, and you said it wasn't him.
No, it's not Albert Finney.
You guys looked it up before.
Yeah, we looked it up last time. It was the guy who played Hannibal Lecter.
In Manhunter.
In fact, if I look up Manhunter... That should be come up, even though he played a very like Hannibal Lecter was a very small
Lecter differently in
Brian Cox. Brian Cox played, and he's great. He's so great in this. And
but what is he saying to Charlie Kaufman with that answer? Is he's Charlie Kaufman is so self-loathing and entertainingly so, but he's saying like Charlie Kaufman is in love with the Cooper character, that he's going on an adventure and Charlie Kaufman has not experienced any of life. And this guy's going off into the swamps. Mm-hmm. And then by the time Donald takes over the script, he has a giant alligator jump up and kill.
Yes. The Deus Ex Machina.
The Deus Ex Machina, which McKee says not to use. God help you. It's sloppy writing. It's sloppy, shallow writing.
No, but he says that about narration.
That was another thing, though, about he said that about narration. God help you if you use voiceover narration.
Yeah, and Charlie Kaufman is narrating from the start.
Yeah, from the
start on the beginning of the world because he's talking into his tape recorder, and that becomes the narration.
And that's all his ideas. And
honestly, you can kind of see from watching Scorsese movies how that's wrong.
Yeah. Narration can be a huge necessity when you.
I always like the narration on Blade Runner. Everyone's talking against him. Yeah. Like, no, I kind of like it.
I've heard other people say, like that. the narration has its own that noir flavor.
It's also one of the things that saved what was it, Payback.
Payback
version of Payback.
The director's cut of Payback is really bleak and dour and kind of boring, but all of a sudden you have Mel Gibson doing his best hand banana voice, and all of a sudden the movie's like 10 times better because it's more tongue-in-cheek and
some of the best lines in the entire movie are the voiceover and narration.
Yes. One other thing I really wanted to bring up, though, because I brought up that car accident, which is brutal and massively disrespected by its own movie, because when Donald takes over the movie, they're driving away. They get into a head-on car accident that's like goofy and
he flies out. Doesn't he fly out the front window?
Yeah, he flies out the front window. It's goofy and comedic and weird, but also like an insult, and I think it's intentional.
Kill.
Yeah, it's an insult though to the car accident earlier in the movie with LaRoche, where his mom dies and all that stuff, and it's really dramatic, and that was a real life event. Whereas
the first times you ever see that in a movie, I know they copied that perspective, the inside the car, first person car crash, a whole bunch of different movies after that one.
So, but do you think Donald he's not influencing the film at the start, right? They have him writing the film sequentially toward the end, right?
Yeah, it's the third act is Donald, the fictional.
In fact, really, the last third of the movie is when it goes off the rails.
Yeah. So what's he say? What does it mean? Does it mean anything when Donald dies in the car wreck and they sing the song together? Does it go back to Charlie's control, or is it Donald wrote the rest of the movie?
I think that's the formula. That's the formula kicking in, where it's like, this is the part where we have a song and we sing together.
Yeah.
And you could see.
She was just 7. What did they sing?
It was So Happy Together.
Happy Together.
Yeah. And it means it's funny at first, and then by the end it means something as you're watching him die. You're sitting here being moved by them singing it.
It's tragic, but it's also like intentionally insulting, like to the audience.
It's so formulaic. It's intentionally it's pulling on the heartstrings as hard as possible.
Yeah, and it's as they spelled out. Like at the very beginning, he's saying, "Here's all the formula crap I don't want to do. Here's what I want this movie to not become." And then the movie becomes every single one of those things. It's
basically about his failure as a screenwriter.
Yes.
Although you can't really blame him because, by his own admission, the book has nothing else in it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like when he says, "Don't call it the industry." So in the industry, don't call it the industry.
Like Dress to Kill. I really like Dress to Kill until the third act didn't know you meant. It's like, that's not how it's pronounced.
She had this great tattoo of a snake eating its own tail, Ouroboros. I don't know what that means.
Ouroboros.
That's what that's called. I don't know what that means.
That was direct symbolism, because like I wrote myself into my screenplay.
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm eating my own.
It's a little weird, isn't it?
It's like Ouroboros. It's like the snake eating its own tail. And there's
he actually says, "I'm Ouroboros." That's another element of the movie. Is I think this is kind of proof that Nicolas Cage is a good actor.
Yeah, he's actually great in this movie too.
He's a very great actor.
It's very
a great the idiot Donald is so good.
The way they're twins, but the way they talk is so distinctive. The way they behave, you could tell them apart without even a question. You don't even think about it.
One of them is completely different from the other.
Yeah, exactly. The one's the withdrawn nerdy guy like Barton Fink, and the other.
Makes me wonder: is that supposed to be like a split element of his personality, or is it just a completely fictional?
I think it's a fictional, just opposite. He wrote an intentional opposite to be able to criticize what he hates about Hollywood. That's what the third act is.
He's saying what he hates about himself because he made it himself. It would be a different writer if it wasn't. It is him.
Yeah.
He's saying this is how I feel when I write for studios.
I think he also, there's that, but also I think it's like his contempt for the studio formula approach is that third act is about like everything he hates about Hollywood, and it's like the not just what he hates about Hollywood, but the way it takes a real life story and disrespects it by making it fictional.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I think he's way more just angry at himself for being there and doing it.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge.
There's a self-loathing to it. By the way, he used to write on the Dana Carvey show.
Oh yeah, that's right. And he wrote other stuff
with what's his face.
Dana Carvey. Oh,
no, but who's the guy that's on the Daily Show or whatever?
Oh, Jon Stewart.
No, the other one, the one who does bad Bill O'Reilly imitation.
Oh, Colbert.
Yeah, Colbert was a writer on that too with him.
Colbert. I remember when Colbert was funny. I remember Strangers with Candy.
Yeah.
I love that show. But,
so much talent came from that show, though, the writing crew.
Yeah, there was actually, a lot of those early shows that had a lot of... I think Charlie Kaufman also wrote for Moral Oral, which was like an adult...
Oh, really? Well, that's how he met the animators, those animators.
For
and ended up
doing...
Yeah, you're doing Anomalisa. And I did a shot for those guys back. That's the same company that did... the episode of Community, the stop motion Christmas animation for Community, and I did 2 shots on that episode.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Because
he's the director of Anomalisa. That guy.
I haven't seen Community. I've heard Community is like one of the best sitcoms.
It's very good.
Yeah,
very good.
And I've seen lots of there's a lot of clips and memes. You know, something's good when a lot of memes come out of it.
Yeah, that's Dan Harmon.
Yeah,
who.
I
was friends with in the mid-'90s when I created Gear. My first comic was published by he and Rob Schraub's company.
Holy shit.
So I used to hang out with those guys back when they were writing Monster Zoo and creating all this stuff. I saw their note cards on the floor, and I would talk to Dan, who was 17 at the time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, yeah. I wonder what could possibly go wrong.
Before you went on to make the smartest animated show in history.
Yeah, that's right.
And Rick and Morty, so Justin Roiland did animation for me on Sock Baby.
Roiland, you say?
Yeah. And he's got a copy of he's a big fan of Earthworm Jim, so he got a copy of Earthworm Jim, just like you guys.
Justin Roiland always struck me as not really being on the exact same page as Harmon. I mean, Harmon definitely knew how to do funny, weird stuff, and Roiland,
Harmon is a freaking genius.
Yeah, but there's also something a lot wrong with him too.
Yeah. Oh, he's a terrible person trying to destroy himself slowly, but he probably is
doing a good job.
One of the smartest writers and one of the best writers.
That's usually with the smartest writers, there's something massively, massively wrong with them. I would like to say that something's wrong with all of us too. I mean, because that would be a huge credit to us, wouldn't it?
If you were a better writer like Dan, you could get away with every self-indulgence that you ever had, and you couldn't get punished for it because of the power you had.
I mean, I'm looking forward to possibly being able to do that.
You can throw a stapler at your assistant's head, which is what all the Hollywood execs that I know, like
calling her a fat cow.
Yeah, exactly. They got away with that.
Cow.
And they still get away with it, by the way. Everyone still covers it up and doesn't talk about it. All of Hollywood knows to keep quiet. There's only a few blabbermouths in the Me Too movement. The rest are all complicit.
Well,
the entire industry.
They were complicit, and that's why they're turning against them, because of their guilt. They are guilty of being...
Yeah, because it's not just Harvey Weinstein who was the problem. It was all the other people who were doing the same thing.
All the women who basically gave him the power. They gave him the power by never saying no.
Yeah, there's that. Well, there's a lot of aspects of that, too. And that's funny because there's a touch of that in Adaptation, where like his agent, who is the guy from Office Space, I forgot his name too, but he's great because he just shows up, and every girl that walks past, like, well, I fuck her in the ass, and it's like, I'm trying to pour my heart out about how hard this is to write this story, and his agent is just like a borderline retarded sex addict.
Yeah, all of them
too. And I get all of that builds up. That for the first and second act of Adaptation is like great condemnation of Hollywood, but also like the self-loathing of
system.
Yeah, the system, the writer, the self-loathing of the writer himself, the process, and all that kind of stuff. But also like feeling lost and having to go to outside help that makes you feel disgusted with each other. Like one of the things when he sits at the McKee seminar, it's just voiceover narration.
Just constantly of him.
I've sold out.
I'm a loser. I've failed.
I'm balding. I'm fat and bald and pathetic. And then all of a sudden McKee says, and God help you if you use voiceover narration in your work.
It's lazy, stupid.
It's lazy. Any idiot writer can do it. God help you. And
so should all these writers that are so self-loathing, Coen Brothers and Charlie Kaufman, just shut up? Shut up about it. It's like they keep going like, I'm trying to maintain my integrity, but I want all of this money in the most popular, famous form of art there is that attracted me, yet I'm trying to look like I'm freaking Michelangelo or someone in the caves of Lascaux anonymously painting bison on a wall. And really,
underappreciated genius.
Give me all the money, and I'll still dress I'll still dress blue collar, so I look like I'm a legit artist.
Yes,
but give me the money.
You're a genius. Which line?
One of my favorite parts of the entire movie was
in movie history.
That was Tilda Swinton too, wasn't it? Where she's just in bed with it. Suddenly, out of nowhere, she's in bed with Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah,
she's reading a script, and then she just stops to say, "You're a genius. You're a genius. You're a genius." And he's like, "What? What part? What part?" He just wants to be buttered up, and then it's like jump cut to actually he's masturbating.
His legs shaking on the bed. Yeah, he's fantasizing.
Because he's such a loser nerd. And that was another thing is the idea of the parasocial relationship that he builds with this author of the Orchid Thief, Susan Orlean, who he's never met. He's reading her book. He's reading it over and over again.
He spends a few times, he makes a few attempts trying to meet her, and then he always chickens out.
Yeah, he's on her in the elevator with her. Yeah. He's like he's too intimidated to introduce himself.
Yeah, which tied in with an earlier scene where he was hanging out with this girl he knows, the British girl, and he's like he's in the car. He's in the car and he's like, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna
do that right now.
I'm gonna do that right now. And then he just drives off and doesn't do anything. Yeah. And it's just, again, it's that hesitancy of like, what a loser I am, pathetic.
You can perfectly understand what he's doing, though.
Yeah, you kind of
no mystery. Yeah, he doesn't spell it out,
and the voiceover narration actually helps.
What if it's not a Charlie Kaufman routine? What if it's an Andy Kaufman routine? And Charlie Kaufman is really like everyone's worst stereotype of a football jock, softball coach, and he just brilliantly crafted this self-loathing, mousy guy so he can live in his own skin.
Yeah, he doesn't seem that mousy when you see him in interviews. He's like, he's like, in his own head for sure, but he's, he seems to know.
Seems to at least understand.
He needs like a big Flava Flav clock and like a gold tooth and have like the big fur coat. And like they catch him on blurry film in his own house walking around listening to hip hop. And then like as soon as he goes outside, he looks all mousy and
he should have done that for Anomalisa. I saw Anomalisa and I really wanted to like the idea of it because it's like stop motion. But the movie itself, it was like a 10-minute movie stretched to 90 minutes.
That's how I felt too. I wanted to like it so much, and it's terrible.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's like, please don't let this be the last Charlie Kaufman movie I see or like. Because then I'm never going to like Charlie Kaufman again. I don't want that.
Have you seen Synecdoche, New York?
I saw that, and I did like that. But
I liked it a little bit.
I've seen people who are obsessed with that movie. Jerk actually recommended that to me and said, you're going to love this movie because apparently he loved it. And I saw it, and I didn't love it, but I definitely see what a lot of people can see about it because that's very dense and symbolic too.
Did you see the Reader's Theater Charlie Kaufman did with the Coen brothers?
I didn't see that. Is that going to be on YouTube or something?
It's like probably 20 years ago. They did a radio show where the Coen brothers wrote a script and Charlie Kaufman wrote a script and they all read it live. And so I think there's video of it's Suicide guy, Philip Seymour Hoffman, who is in Synecdoche, New York. He does the Charlie Kaufman one. It's brilliant. It's a one-man thing.
Did he kill himself? I thought
he overdosed.
So he OD'd, so same thing.
Okay.
But he's writing something. He's writing on stage. And of course, this is Charlie Kaufman, right? But he does it again, and it's brilliant. He's writing a review of his own play. and then talking about how brilliant it is, and then brings up, oh, of course, Charlie Kaufman would write his own. He's reading the review, and he brings up himself. It's genius. And then the Coen Brothers one has John Goodman in it. Big surprise, but it's like a door-to-door salesman, a vacuum salesman, and it's kind of gross, but interesting. You look that up for something. But it's just weird how that's another tie between our two subject matters tonight.
Yeah. Because, you could tell they have that salesman. He was an insurance salesman in Barton Fink.
Yeah, that's right.
It's called Theater of the Mind, I think, something like that.
Theater of the Mind.
Hey, I got to pee. Are we going to keep going?
Mind.
I want to keep going for a little bit. So yeah,
you guys go. I'm gonna pee real quick. I'll be right back.
I'll vamp. The McKee stuff I always found like really welcome because, and I looked up.
That's actually the thing is, on the one hand, you could see him as being just trashing McKee. It's like nobody has any specific get rich quick scheme in order to make movies or tell a story, but he ends up having to go to McKee's workshop.
Yeah, his get rich quick scheme. Which actually, there's a book by a couple of guys who wrote movies called How We Made $1 Billion at the Box Office, and You Can Too. And it was just a couple of guys who wrote like Night at the Museum, and I think it's about that whole the point of like intentionally selling out and making a stupid formula, how to write formula, basically. And they were completely honest about it. They're like, there's zero integrity in this. You will have no soul by the end of it. You have to cut out all the good parts of who you are as a person in order to do it. And then you'll make $1 billion. Not that you make $1 billion, but the movies that you make will make $1 billion. And that's kind of the point of that is like, they wrote a book, where they just say this, where they sort of reveal the horrific reality of it. I am sorry, but I
watch these movies to escape from reality. Me, I don't need that shit.
I am
from now on, whenever we say the word reality.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a reference to Platoon for those who don't know. And I don't like Platoon. I don't like that movie.
That movie. It's speaking of
that's pretentious. Yes,
fucking cliched as shit.
Cliched, pretentious.
It's one of the things I really love about Apocalypse Now is that it's a Vietnam War movie set in Vietnam.
That one's almost pretentious.
The Vietnam War.
But it's actually
nothing to do with the man. Are we doing the right? What are we doing here, Sarge?
What are we doing here, Sarge? Oh, who is this? Well, who is this? Is that your impression of Robert McKee?
No, this is Robert. He's the coconut head. His name is Robert.
Is this your muse?
Yeah, this is my, it says Cannibal Coconut Doll, Fiji Island. So it's actually racist, but I bought it in Fiji by the Fijians.
Fijians made it racist intentionally, so you'd have to explain that.
Oh, I saw this little village we visited. It's like a missionary village where we go and we bring backpacks full of school supplies to the kids. And they were selling all this crap, because they have to make money. So they sell little tchotchkes and things that they make. And this guy made my little heart glow when I saw him. I said, I want him.
It does look adorable. It kind of looks like Simple Jack in the movie Simple Jack, where they gave him the goofy fake teeth. And then they beat him with a rifle and say, you do movie. And then he tries to do the normal lines.
Is this Tropic Thunder, Simple Jack?
Yeah, Tropic Thunder.
Yeah,
I love that scene. I just love that scene because it reminded me of when I saw Inglourious Bastards when Hitler is watching the sniper movie and just laughing at all the people getting shot. And I was like, what's better? What makes this point better is the part in Simple Jack where the heroin gang has Simple Jack, and they gave him the fake teeth. They gave him some old man's dentures. And they would put him in your mouth, and now you do movie. And he's like, oh, Pa, I wish. And then they beat him with a rifle and say, more stupid. And it's like, the ultimate like condemnation of director. It's like the suffering that your actor must go through with your director.
I've only seen that movie once. I didn't like it, so I'll probably have to watch it again because it's been referenced.
I saw it in the theater, and I thought it was sort of okay, I guess. And then when I rewatched it, it was like, oh, wait a second. There's actually some really, really funny stuff in this movie.
Oh, I got to watch it then because I remember Robert Downey Jr. I laughed every time he opened his mouth.
Yeah, that's the.
This is right after his career started to take off again.
Yeah.
He did blackface.
Yeah, he did blackface, and it was great. It was hilarious.
And he was a druggie on Mel Gibson's couch.
Yeah, that's right.
Mel Gibson scooped him off the ground.
Yeah, that's right. Mel Gibson turned his life around and got him back out in there.
Saved him.
With other secret Republicans like Jon Favreau.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know any of those guys. I can't say Jon Favreau's a Republican, but watching Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, it's like this is like a secret conservative.
They're right. They are. I was in that group. Vince Vaughn, John Voight, Patty Heaton, Kelsey Grammer, Gary Sinise.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn's not even secret. Yeah, Gary Sinise not secret Republicans. They're out and just right out in the open.
Now their careers.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, Adam Sandler I always heard was very conservative.
Oh, I just heard they just announced it that the Babylon Bee is meeting with his people this week.
Oh wow!
Ethan Nicole's going to meet.
Oh, the Onion but funny.
Ethan Nicole. Yeah, the Onion but funny, also known as.
That's right.
Ethan Nicole though, doesn't he do that? Did he do Axe Cop or is that something else?
He did Axe Cop.
He's involved with the Babylon Bee, or is that?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I didn't know.
He's their staff writer, and he does other Photoshop stuff for them. Yeah, he's a big Babylon Bee.
There are conservatives in comics already who
are funny as hell. Yeah. When he came up with Axe Cop, this is when it first took off it was a web comic, and it first took off. This is 2010 or 2011, I think, maybe 12, no 11,
maybe 2000.
He was on my. We used to sit in the backyard and smoke pipes and read Chesterton, and he got a call and he was like looking at all his tweets, and like Simon Pegg was like tweeting to him, and he became friends with Nick Offerman and all those guys, all because he made a webcomic. He got invited like the instant inner circle of Hollywood.
The secret inner circle of Hollywood.
The secret inner circle of Hollywood just for making a webcomic.
Yeah, exactly. That can be. It's really it's not about the fact that it's a webcomic. Even it's just about the idea. It's like sometimes it just takes that one idea. Sometimes it's luck, but it's like the idea that strikes at just the right time. And
meanwhile, you're paying your dues, and you don't know the future, right? So it feels like nothing will ever hit for me. Mm-hmm. He ended up working with Yeardley Smith the last 10 years. He's written with her, but from
what did she do? She sounds familiar.
Simpsons.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Lisa or whatever. Oh. He when he was creating Axe Cop, he didn't have a dime to his name. He had just gotten his first book out through Oni, which got an Eisner nomination on his first book through Oni called Chumble's Buzz. Scott Derrickson was a huge fan of that. And Mike Nelson wrote the foreword to it, and then he ended up becoming best friends with Mike Nelson. Us three would smoke pipes and read Chesterton. So the group started growing. A bunch of nobodies.
It sounds like a real beginning of a comics movement almost.
Yeah, but so this is the thing that you need, which I highly recommend, which is why I think you guys need to reach out. And you at least have each other, but you need a group of like friends who have your back. And that's what a lot of the people, even on this online group, you see clusters of people who have their back, who you can actually trust.
Just imagine being able to do that just because we want to make content.
We've had that too. We've had that for years, but it's very invisible and it's very separate. A lot of them do their own thing, like Jerk, who did the art for Literally. He basically does his own thing. Clumsor is another guy who's really been with us for a bunch of years. He was kind of an early fan of the actual SWC blog. And he's doing his own thing. Basically, he's purchased by a writer
Yeah.
Doing The Party, which is a jerk topic.
But if you guys keep doing the work group together, you'll be surprised after like 5 years, one of you will hit it big. You'll just go like, holy cow, he just got a Cartoon Network show. How'd that happen?
Yeah, I feel like that's almost like just on the verge of happening. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's so close to happening, or at the very least,
I feel that it's so close to happening that as soon as it does happen, one of us is going to. I was just actually talking about this.
You'll divorce as brothers. You're not my brother anymore. I don't know you.
Or we drop dead or something.
We'd be lucky if we turned out that good, because we were talking about like, man, we'll be able to finally pay off the credit cards, and then one of us is going to get cancer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm waiting for the cancer shoe to drop.
One of us, maybe both of us will get cancer.
Or hit by a car.
Yeah. All of a sudden,
walking out to go to the snack store to get a bag of chips.
How did the Coen brothers avoid cancer all this time when they're famous and their life isn't turned upside down?
Their hands aren't as big as their faces. That's why.
Why does Tom Hanks not get cancer? It's like all these famous big people, they're all just kicking ass all day. And you go like, cancer could strike them down, but no, it's going to hit my cleaning lady instead, who's anonymous, and then gets cancer.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand.
It's going to end up hitting an 8-year-old child.
Yeah, instead of the Coen brothers. Or someone take out the Coen brothers with cancer. Come on.
Or only when Sam Kinison started like going sober and cleaning up his life, all of a sudden a drunk driver hits him. And he dies. And it's like that right at that time.
How many people say Nemesis instead of God?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but we were referencing Platoon and how much we don't like it, but every time we say the word reality, we have to say reality because of the only thing I like about Platoon is that one scene with Sergeant Barnes where he's like pacing that bunker and he's like, you guys know about death? And he's like, you smoke this shit to escape from reality? Me, I don't need this shit. I am reality. And he really is. He's the representative of actuality. And
the first third of Platoon is brilliant, and the rest can be thrown in the trash. I should have ended it after that first.
It's like too arty. That's the pretentious bullshit that like the Coen brothers are trying.
I'm also especially tired of Vietnam War tropes. It's like, man, because of course those tropes carried over
the innocent villager
modern day and is applied to the real life military when it shouldn't be.
The stupid audience watches fiction and then they create a reality out of it, and that's what everyone believes about it. Suddenly.
Reality. Yeah, people are like, oh, so that's what the entire Vietnam War was, just one My Lai massacre after another. Really?
And all of our soldiers are guilty. All of our soldiers are guilty, except for the ones who ended up working in Hollywood. Those guys are the only ones who objected.
Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden. Yeah,
that's why we need Hollywood, and people actually believe. There are people who actually believe the mainstream media and mainstream news sources still, and it's like, why does anyone do that?
And no one's ever told an immoral story about World War II, and it seems like an immoral soldier in that war would do terrible things, and they don't document it.
Band of Brothers, maybe. I guess Band of Brothers, and then also perhaps
maybe Big Red One. Yeah, the same. Big Red One's
not really immoral; it's much more morally gray.
Absolutely have to do a video about Big Red One.
Red One.
Me and my
brother. The one where they go back in time? Is it that one?
No, the Big Red One was Sam Fuller's like only color World War II movie.
Which one am I thinking of where they go back in time to World War II?
Was that
the Final Countdown?
Well, the Final Countdown. That's the one. I mixed that one up with the Big Red One.
Yeah. They're very different movies. Then
I stored them on the same shelf in my head.
Big Red One's a great movie though, because it's just about like the First Division, and they do this. It's like a series of episodes of the First Division. Mark Hamill's in it.
Oh yeah,
and
I remember that.
Yeah, and they just go from this place to this place to this place throughout World War II.
What's the World War II movie that Han Solo's in? Because that's Mark Hamill. Which one is Harrison Ford in?
I don't know.
Games.
Patriot.
No, it's an old one, like right around when Big Red One was out. Because Mark Hamill was in that one, and then Harrison Ford did one. I
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever heard of it, to be honest.
It's Dial a World War II movie. It's a World War II movie. Dial a World War II movie. Force 10 from Navarone.
Oh, I think I've heard the title of that. But there's also the Razor's Edge, which had
Bill Murray
in it. And that was weird because I was like, oh, Bill Murray is going to be like in a kind of a funny World War II. No,
it's Bill Murray. He's up there and he's doing a straight face, shooting people. Wasn't was Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn in that? Was it
Sean Penn?
Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn were in a Vietnam War movie. I know that.
Maybe I'm mixing them up.
Casualties of War.
Yeah, Casualties of War. Maybe I'm mixing them up with Razor's Edge. See, I stored them on the same shelf in my head. This is my weapon.
Yes.
I just store random movies on the same
Your
plate.
weapon needs to be cleaned, apparently.
Well, yeah, it's been a long time.
Something is wrong.
Maintained regularly.
I'm a hoarder, and there's a lot of garbage in there, and none of it's organized.
Yeah, sometimes it's the risk of because we got obsessed with like watching movies.
I'm pretty tired of watching movies.
Yeah, sometimes it's like sometimes it feels like a chore. Like, oh, I got to. Like I was almost being like, we have to watch Barton Fink before we do this stream because I don't want to be like
I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and I won't know what you're talking about.
It's one of the weirdest movies
know.
I've ever seen. I think it's probably in my top 10.
He does start to look like Eraserhead near the end of the movie.
Yeah,
he kind of resembles.
Eraserhead's another one. It freaks me out. Do you guys see the short that Lynch did on Netflix? The What Did Jack Do or whatever, where he's interviewing a monkey. It's terrible. It's the worst thing Lynch has done, but it's funny.
Now I'm not gonna.
It's a short, so it's mercifully short. But
I still haven't seen the Ballad of Buster Scraggs, and I really want to.
I watched the first half of that.
I didn't.
The first skit, and maybe the second skit in that movie are decent, and then the third and fourth one. Especially the fourth one drags on for fun.
Yeah, the armless guy. That's them doing Barton Fink again, basically talking about entertainment, and they throw him over the bridge, for money. The
only thing is, though, it goes on and on. It just goes on and on forever.
It's this beautiful Shakespearean singer who has no arms and legs, and they replace him with a chicken that can count. It's another statement of theirs on Hollywood. Very interesting.
A chicken that can count sounds pretty interesting. That was one thing also being brought up earlier was that trifecta of you do it for the common man, you do it for the art, or you do it for the money. And the ultimate fantasy is to do all three at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like
Forrest Gump.
Yeah. Forrest Gump. Yeah, Forrest Gump is kind of you know what though? I don't
common man, the money, and the critics.
Yeah.
Well, if you've ever watched Black Pill's review of Forrest Gump, you know that it's secretly degenerate.
Yeah, of course.
Not even secretly degenerate. It's openly promoting degeneracy.
Have you guys seen The Black Stallion?
No.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite number one all-time movie.
Does it have Robert Redford in it?
No, it has Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney.
Hoyt Angston plays the dad, who is the dad in Gremlins.
Oh,
it's a boy and his horse. It's a perfect fairy tale. You got to watch that. Tell me what you think of it.
Is it like a never-ending story?
I've
seen the never-ending story.
No, The Black Stallion.
I think I watched the never-ending story again.
Yeah, that's terrible trash. Anyone who tells you different is lying. Whoa. Black Stallion is the greatest movie ever made.
While traveling with his father, young Alec becomes fascinated by a mysterious Arabian stallion who's brought on board and stabled in the ship he's sailing on. It tragically sinks. Something.
It's a perfect story.
I don't
like
horses, though. I'm not a fan of horses, but
neither am I. I hate horse racing. I hate horses. I hate everything about it. It is a perfect story.
The Arabians do tend to be the highest quality horses in Red Dead.
Oh yeah,
to find a free one. There's a free one
again.
But when you say you're done watching movies, I'd be curious what you think of that one.
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
That'll be the last movie I ever watch.
Yeah, finding that is always the challenge. That's always the thing. Is like people are like, oh, this movie's really good, and it's like I cannot find it anywhere. It's not on Netflix. It's not in my local video store.
Buy it.
There are no local video stores.
If it's my number one movie, it's worth buying.
I'd have to buy it on Amazon. But that's the thing is, if I don't know the movie, if I don't if I don't know for sure that I'm going to love it, I really don't want to drop $20 on it.
Yeah, or even 10 sometimes.
I have to love the movie already.
I've had people tell me that Platoon is like the best movie.
No, but you can't trust them. You can trust me. You can't trust them.
Oh no, I don't know if I could trust you either.
This isn't a matter of taste.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, all right. Now that you
literally objective, objectively true.
Objective.
So, we hit the 2-hour mark. I want to wrap up by saying, great show. I would still love to do these, but I don't want to. I don't want to be a show anymore.
I wish I never needed to sleep or eat.
Yeah, exactly. I like doing the movie talks or just hang out. So if you want to, anyone watching this, we're usually open for being.
I especially love being able to do these shows with somebody who is actually on our level.
Yeah, I think that has to be a criteria. Is that you have to be on our level, or we have to at least be on your level. So we'll be on with Tim or Doug.
Yeah, I'm not egotistical. We need to actually be on your level. That's completely different.
And if you have a great movie, make a great movie list and email it to me, and I'll make you my great movie list. And if we find any overlap,
we have a big collection of DVDs, some Blu-rays, and some VHS.
Yeah, we do have stacks and stacks that I've built over the many years. But I mean, like my top 2 tend to be
Big Lebowski.
Well, no, not Big Lebowski.
Not really. I mean, I love that movie, but
a personal favorite. But
Eat, Pray, Love.
It's EPL.
White Chicks. White
Chicks is classic. I remember when The Expendables was
Hillary's America 2016.
By Dinesh D'Souza.
We saw that in theater. We saw that in the theater. One of the only people who saw that in the theater, I think. But I remember when The Expendables was coming out, the trailers were like, it's an action flick, but there was a fan trailer.
Yeah.
There was a fan trailer that was like,
I needed to see the movie.
Yeah, it was like, this Friday, The Expendables is opening up against Eat, Pray, Love. And if you let Eat, Pray, Love win, you don't deserve to be a man. And I was like, well, I better go see The Expendables then. Because
I've seen all of The Expendables in the theater, and I took my son to see him when he was 8 years old or something. It's the most inappropriate movie.
Although
it's great.
It's very violent.
It's a goofy movie. I think a lot of people take the movie too seriously.
It's a throwback to the 80s. If you're going to be doing throwbacks to any specific decade, the 80s.
It knows it's trash and it loves it.
Yeah, it's fully letting on.
It's perfectly executed, really. It's exactly what it's aiming for, and it does it.
I would say the first movie's kind of slight, where it's going for too much story that's not exactly necessary, and too much.
I overrode it.
Yeah,
I overwrote that one.
Too much emotional touch or something like that. And the following sequels are like, we don't have to do that anymore. We've established what this is. Let's just go on with it.
And we didn't give Arnold Schwarzenegger any action scenes. Let's actually do that. Let's also bring in a few other people that we didn't bring in.
Yeah, so I kind of prefer the sequels, if anything. But
let's get Dolph.
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke.
Dolph fighting Jet Li. And it's like,
Jet Li. Okay.
Again, that's almost not stunt casting, but it's bizarre set piece that only a movie fan would think of as let's have Dolph Lundgren fighting Jet Li.
Jet Li is so old he can't do anything by then.
Yeah, he had to retire in the second movie, and it's that's tragic.
At least it's not looking like a Steven Seagal movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Steven Seagal, where it's all filmed with a stunt double, and then cut to Steven Seagal standing there.
Even the stunt double doesn't look like he's trying.
Yeah. I was going to say something. Oh, yeah. As far as favorite movies, my top 2 tend to be just Goodfellas and Casino, though. But right after that tends to be Patton and Lawrence of Arabia, though. But
I like Patton. I'm not a big fan of Lawrence of Arabia. I feel too dumb for it.
It's a long movie, so it's not a movie that I've watched over and over and over again.
I've probably seen it, I think, 3 times total in the last 25 years.
Yeah, Patton I can watch over and over.
Yeah, Patton's extremely, extremely watchable. Very easy to watch.
With really long movies, though, it's okay, edit. Where's the?
Casino is really long, and I remember putting that on.
That's the thing is, a lot happens.
Yeah,
I only saw it once, and I didn't like it much. I do like Goodfellas.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people I don't know why they wouldn't like it. If it's easy preference. Goodfellas. There's easy preference for Goodfellas because Goodfellas has a lot of those beats that are so energetic and fun. The whole helicopter episode where he's driving around with "We can make each other happy," all that stuff.
It just moves a lot better.
Yeah, and Casino doesn't have that, but it has its own things which are also great. Just not the same. Casino is a little more traditional gangster movie. But not really, though.
It just feels more scummy. Like Mean Streets always feels more scummy.
Yeah.
I don't like Taxi Driver. It's too scummy.
Never did Mean Streets. And it was Taxi Driver is very dour. In that apartment, which he probably paid about $1,000 a month on. Yeah. New York City, living in an apartment, swank apartment in New York City. Maybe not, but whatever. Most grody looking apartment. I remember Mean Streets. I know that I saw it, and I don't remember a single thing that happened.
Pretty early. That's early. That's Harvey Keitel and early Scorsese.
Where again, even 20 years after never seeing or only seeing Barton Fink once, I still vividly remember like a couple of things that you like burn themselves into your brain. I remember the part where he yells at Barton Fink, and then his ear starts gushing, kind of like the wallpaper paste. Out of his ear, just
that's another tie between the two. Is they both put earplugs in at the end when he's hearing the noise.
Yeah, that's right.
The earplugs in. Just
I think he puts cotton into his ears to ignore the phone, and then Munt puts cotton into his ear because it's just leaking, has an ear infection.
But they're twins, they're the same person. That's all they're doing it for.
Ear infection, but it's coming
That's all
out
they're doing it for. They're just creating another tie that's supposed to baffle you.
And I like that. The same person is like Fight Club, but not nearly as cool. Yeah. He's the uncool version of Fight Club.
He's the documentary version of Fight Club.
I mean, I like Fight Club, but the Fight Club is more of a goofy, fun. Fight Club is kind of like South Park, or it's kind of like the meme.
If you had an alter ego, it wouldn't be Brad Pitt; it would be John Goodman.
But you can tell that Brad Pitt makes sense as the fantasy alter ego of who you'd want to be, like at least in the imagination. That kind of thing. And that's how it plays out in the movie, and it's kind of a mockery on the narrative.
What do you guys think of Reservoir Dogs?
I liked it as a straightforward movie. I only found out it's a ripoff and that kind of stuff. And but the way that
what's it a ripoff of though?
Tarantino is very overrated. It was some Hong Kong crime movie that does
John Woo or one of those guys did.
It wasn't John Woo, but it was someone else.
I know it has the standoff, the Mexican standoff with the three guys.
The thing is that Tarantino will take it and make it into something new still. And I want to hate Tarantino, but he absolutely knows how to not just build tension, but deliver on tension in horrifying ways that are very sudden.
I put Res Dogs in my top list. I put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's one that I really enjoyed in the theater.
I've heard a lot of back and forth on that too, and I haven't seen it yet. One of my least favorite movies of all time is Kill Bill.
I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I cannot stand that movie. Everyone else. I remember reading the script for Kill Bill, and I was like, "This sounds awesome." And I saw the movie, and all of my favorite scenes in the script were taken out of the movie. And I was like, "What the hell happened?" And then
the trailer looked awesome too, and then you see the movie, and it's like Lucy Liu. No,
and it's just like.
In fact, I only like Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction, Res Dogs, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are the only three that I like of Quentin.
I like Pulp Fiction, but movie. I do like here's the thing. I do like Django Unchained, but did you know that slavery was bad?
Yeah.
If you didn't know slavery was bad, well, guess what? You should go see Django Unchained and learn that.
I didn't like Jackie Brown. I saw Jackie Brown. Didn't like.
I kind of like Jackie Brown, but it wasn't long. It wasn't extremely memorable, and I haven't seen in many, many years. The movie is 5 hours long. Yeah, that's true too. And it doesn't.
I did like when De Niro kills Bridget Fonda.
Yes, yeah. He's just right in the parking lot. He just turns around. He's so annoyed. He just turns around and shoots her. So annoying. Yeah, it's her just desserts. She was annoying. That's that. But yeah, it's like a 3 hour movie that feels like it needs to be just a two flat hours, but not even 2 hours, just under 2 hours. And again, like a movie like hour 59. Yeah, Adaptation is like an hour 58.
Yeah, both of those, like just 2 flat hours, and even Adaptation, like the ending, that third act feels like it's about to start getting long, but in a way, that's that parody, that satire, the condemnation of the Hollywood formula pot boiler flick.
And he cuts it off pretty quick when he's done doing his business. It's like,
yeah, it's like, nah, I'm out of here. Done. You know, and alligator saves the day. Okay, there, it's over. And I also love though how Susan Orlean in the movie is just like just a bitter drug addict all of a sudden. And then she just screams, "You fat fuck!"
Yeah, she's brilliant.
And it's weird because
skills are fading with age.
So where would you put that with being John Malkovich? Because I like being John Malkovich a little better.
I actually prefer that. I liked being John Malkovich a lot, but I think I prefer Adaptation several times more. I don't know why, but there's something about Adaptation that like really,
because he writes himself in.
But it also struck a note with me with just
he notes that he wrote himself into his own movie, and then his novel says, "That's weird, isn't it?"
Yeah, and the introspection spiral where he just like disappears into him. You're thinking about yourself so much that you sort of stop even being a person. That something about that in Adaptation really it spoke to me, man. It spoke to the common man like me.
And I thought Spotless Mind, Sunshine of Spotless Mind was a little overdone, little over heralded.
Yeah, it was. That's over. I mean, somebody in the chat said that Kaufman's overrated, and I think I can agree with that.
Yeah. But he's a gimmick. He's a gimmick.
Yeah, but I think he's still smart, and he's made at least a few really good movies. I liked Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind a lot, and it was over heralded, but I still actually like seeing it. And actually, Her by Spike. Didn't Spike Jonze write that?
Yeah, I never saw Her, by the way. I'd like to see that.
I like that Phoenix, a lot.
The Joker.
Yeah, the Joker's. You know, it's funny. My mom saw Joker recently, and she was like, "Oh, that was really good." And it's like, you know, it's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good movie. I don't know.
Haven't seen. My goal is to get through life without seeing it. If it's streaming and sitting on Netflix, I'll watch it. But
I would like to have it on Netflix.
Don't become an incel.
Yeah. You don't want to become an incel though, so you might have to avoid seeing that.
It'll convert me at 53 years old. It'll turn me into an incel.
Yeah,
Joker.
Revert.
Exactly.
Every scene I've seen of Joaquin Phoenix tearing up the scene, he's actoring all the acting.
Oh yeah, you mean like in the Master? In the Master,
little too much. No, I'm talking about the Joker. He's a little too actoring all the acting.
But I mean, I still liked him in that because there's a lot of good quiet moments of him in that. But I
love him in Gladiator is one of my favorite movies, and Joaquin Phoenix is amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people say that they love Gladiator. I remember seeing it and being like, "Oh, it's just kind of a straightforward movie." And I think I think the expectations I had of that were too different from what the movie was actually supposed to be and was. So to the point where I saw
the structure is very Hollywood McKee, check the boxes. It's very that.
Very McKee, if you will.
Very McKee. Very Save the Cat, John Truby, Field.
Yeah, that's right. Save the Cat. That's a good Alien reference. And the thing is that McKee, McKee's not wrong necessarily. Doesn't mean he's right. I saw interviews with McKee talking about him as a person being put as a character into the movie, and it was like, yeah, I want to make sure that I actually at least have some redemption. If you're going to put me in the movie, I have to have some redemption. And also, apparently, he recommended having Brian Cox as the casting. He's like, Brian Cox is a great actor. You should have him as me in there. And so they
kind of like him.
Yeah, I guess according to the real life McKee, that's how it happened. And the original script, McKee was saying wasn't good. It's like for adaptations, like really, did you save the script? Did you save adaptation? But what he wanted was a redemption for himself in the movie, and it actually is a really good scene where Kaufman goes to meet McKee like in a bar where after one of the seminars where he gets yelled at. And like to remind McKee, he's like, I'm the one who said that nothing happens in life. And McKee was like, oh, yeah, that's right. So they go to a bar and they talk. And he's like, you got to put the heart in. Because Kaufman,
Very good.
the book of the Orchid Thief to him, and it's like it just ends with the ghost orchid was a little fleeting and out of reach, and it's like that's it, that's the end.
The heart.
Disappointment.
Yeah, it's about disappointment, and it's like you're going to bore your audience to tears. You got to put the heart in.
Gotta go back and put in the drama.
Yeah, you got to go back and put in the drama, which is like still kind of a condemnation of McKee, but it's like doesn't mean he's necessarily wrong.
So for starting writers, the reason why I devoured every screenwriting book I could get my hands on and all the seminars and everything was because you feel like you can't do it. Like there's some magical formula. Then after you read all of these script theories, you start to see they're all, there's a lot of wisdom in them, but it gives you permission kind of when you see that a lot of times they contradict each other and you go, oh.
So it's nobody actually knows for sure.
Now that I know how everyone is doing this and no one really knows what they're talking about, I can do what I want.
Yeah, make my own rules.
So it's good for getting that fear out of the way, and you'll gain a bunch of wisdom. The way I see it is every time I would pitch in Hollywood, they all had Save the Cat on their shelf, sitting on the table. So I go, I have to learn this theory. So when the 27-year-old executive who's 20 years younger than me that I'm pitching to, I can go down the Save the Cat checklist and tell them.
If you're going to argue against it, you need to know the argument first.
They go, where's the mid-level, the mid-twist?
Yeah.
I'll go, here's the middle twist.
Yeah, if they say, well, what's this? And it's like, well, here it is right here.
Yeah.
So even if it's a lie or if it's not the whole truth, or it's like
you speak their language, executive language is.
One of the best pieces. That's actually his agent in Adaptation. Actually gives him. It's one of the surprising pieces of advice when he's just not saying I fuck her up the ass. One of the things is when Kaufman's like, you gotta get me out of this, and the guy is like, you've been stringing them along for months. To not give them anything at this point would be a terrible career move. And when you think about it, that's probably the reason why he has a career now is because he finished this movie.
Yeah.
Or finished touch on that.
In a way, the movie in this movie gets finished by not just stringing them along, but basically giving the studio what the studio thinks it wants.
And got nominated for Best Writer that year.
Yeah.
And got the critics heralding him.
It won Best Supporting Actor for Chris Cooper, which he definitely did that.
Very
deserved movie.
Yeah, that's another thing is that Chris Cooper, like his character in the movie, is something that almost gets glossed over because there's a lot of the symbolism about adaptation and about like he talks about how there's something really
he meant specifically Hurricane Andrew. I remember when that actually happened. It was like, oh, it's a big hurricane. It's a Category 5. But then you see it in this movie, and it's like, this is right after the car accident. They actually even mentioned, like, he's getting into the car with his mom and his uncle. And they're like, oh, the plant nursery's starting to finally turn a profit. Maybe things are finally going to turn around. Immediately go to car accident.
Yeah, and then immediately go to Hurricane Andrew destroying his plant nursery. Like, it scooped it right off the face of the earth.
It says, like the wrath of God.
Yeah.
Thanks, God. Thanks,
and that's sort of a Captain Dan-ish. Well, I mean, I know it's real life, but it's very Captain Dan in Forrest Gump in a way.
The stupid Forrest Gump feather in the wind because we have no free will.
Well, it's the feather in the wind is the postmodern view of life that there's no meaning. It's existentialism, that all you do is exist and you're a feather floating. And that's right. But Captain Dan is fighting that and angry that Gump, everything keeps happening for him. And no matter how hard he tries, he can't achieve anything on the battlefield, in life. And Gump, gets $1 million. And that's kind of the theme of the movie is.
In a way, though, that makes the best character Captain Dan, of course. He's the one with an arc.
He does get the woman at the end, so they couldn't stand doubling down on that theme. They had to give him happily married at the end.
Because
I mean, in a way, it's about how his life turns around.
The most important way to ruin a man is getting
without his legs. His legs.
Although he's got titanium for it. That's the easy Gary Sinise especially in Forrest Gump impression is just clench your teeth like this, Forrest. And now I got titanium legs. with my fat wife Susan.
My fat wife Susan.
What a lovely tree forest.
And that made his. Did you ever see Of Mice and Men with he and John Malkovich?
I did not see that.
My
mom saw that and she was like disgusted and nauseated. That was like, oh, it's pornographic.
They put in swearing.
Yeah, and I have no idea. I didn't read the book. I didn't see the original movies. I didn't see the remake.
I only know about the cartoon, the wonderful Looney Tune.
Oh yeah, that's Tex Avery. George bend over. George bend over. Lenny. And the original Mice and Men, the black and white one, has Burgess Meredith in the Gary Sinise role and Lon Chaney as the big dumb guy. And Burgess Meredith, who plays the Penguin in the Batman series.
Yeah.
He's great. And Mickey from Rocky. Rocky, get up, you bum. But that Mice and Men is fantastic. That black and white one's great.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to see any of them, I would at least see that one first, and then maybe the remake.
Red from the Tube Bar prank calls definitely ripped off Mickey from.
Yeah, Red from the Tube Bar. I don't know if you ever heard those, but those are great.
Well, you did hear them. You probably just heard them on The Simpsons.
Yeah, if you heard
from the Tube Bar. Oh, is that the
old crank calls?
The crank calls of the bar, right?
Yeah. Where
the guy sounds like a hell on earth beast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And Film Threat is an early 90s magazine where people were real big on.
The review of Barton Fink was on Film Threat. I was like, what the hell's up with this? So I go to Film Threat and I read their review of Barton Fink. It's like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now.
So that was the first time I heard about Red's Bar. And then later I did see him, and it has, is it Tierney plays, a guy did an 8mm of it and got Tierney to play the guy on the phone.
Who was in Reservoir Dogs, right?
Yeah, in Reservoir Dogs. The guy who said they look like the Thing. Who's amazing in Res Dogs, the greatest villain ever made, I think, is Tierney. There's nothing more terrifying than that guy. Mr. Pink.
Is that the old guy?
But I liked, you guys ever hear the Jerky Boys? So the Jerky Boys were listened to in the early 90s.
Yeah. Jerky Boys had a lot of inspiration, too, from the Red from the Tube Bar. If you look on YouTube, you can find that it's like an hour-long thing of just all
Tube Bar prank calls. This guy making...
Listen, you cocksucker.
Yeah, exactly. He was so...
But also, most especially, he's constantly threatening to have him come down.
I'll come down there.
I'll fight you anyway.
Why don't you come down here and say them things to person? And it's like, I don't want to embarrass you in front of all your friends. It's like, you say that to me.
Way more. So he used to be the son of a bitch.
Yeah, because he refused to be the son of a bitch. Instead, they were the son of a bitch. And it's like, no, you're the son of a bitch. No, you son of a bitch. Oh, you're calling me a son of a bitch? No.
I had to look it up. I had to look it up to find out what is the genesis of this. And it's like, it's an old sawdust place, but it's like some Jersey City bar that's right outside of a subway exit.
Yeah. Subway terminal exit thing. And so people would it was like guaranteed business. It was
he died a millionaire. And that's why it was called the Tube Bar. And yeah, he made tons of money, but he also was like, he's apparently pretty strict. If you drank a beer at the bar, you would get thrown out. And that's probably what happened to the guy who made the prank calls.
Yeah.
Who knows, though? But yeah, why
wouldn't you be able to drink a beer at the bar?
You had to be drinking hard stuff at the bar.
Oh, hard liquor only. Okay.
Yeah, otherwise you had to have a table to get a beer. Apparently. It's some weird esoteric rule. And the guy...
It goes back to like the 1800s or something.
I have a feeling it was legitimate pissed offedness.
Sounds like a good bartender to me.
That's true.
Yeah. He talked like he had been chewing cigarettes.
He's dead now. Everybody happy?
Yeah.
Well, gee, what a surprise. He sounded like he was dead when they were calling.
When they released it.
He was a revived zombie.
He had a heart clutcher on the spot.
That's inspiration for a lot of Bart Simpson's prank.
Yeah, the whole Moe's Bar bit where
okay.
That was the basis, was Red from the Tube Bar. Anyways, yeah, as far as we were talking about that LaRoche guy, though. Again, his real life story, fascinating, good stuff for a movie, but apparently just not enough to actually fill a feature movie.
No plot. Why would they have Charlie Kaufman do the Orchid Thief? Can you imagine an executive going, "I've got just the guy for this"?
Yeah, that seems like a very early career thing for him. Because, I mean, I think he had only done the one other movie.
Well, there was Being John Malkovich. But again, you said he was a writer on the Dana Carvey show.
Dana Carvey show in the early 90s, yeah.
And probably a handful of other things.
Barely.
And he got started in like comedic things, which is kind of a good thing for having that sense of humor in when you want to do like kind of a serious story.
I think there's some kind of a story by Steve Colbert who talks about how when Charlie would bring in his writing for the Dana Carvey show, they would all make fun of him, like the way he carried himself, because he was so quiet and weird, and all of the writing staff made fun of him.
Probably like Larry David. Larry David was a writer on Saturday Night Live, and all of his projected skits bombed. And if any of them ever got on TV, it was like at 1:45. They would just put them on the end of the show, and they would be so weird and like obtuse and esoteric and
brilliant.
Yeah, and clearly though, good experience for later when he would go on to make it.
So much for those hip New York audiences, though. That's what I was saying about the not Dennis Miller, but who's the guy who was after Dennis Miller? Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, that's right, Norm Macdonald.
A lot of those audiences were dead silent during a lot of his jokes, and it's like
or awkward laughter, or like groaning and stuff. And I remember that. In fact, that made me just love it that much more. When Norm Macdonald was on Weekend Update, he would get the weirdest reactions, and that the other hosts just loved Norm that much more. Like Dennis Miller talked about like how his favorite host was Norm Macdonald for Weekend Update.
Yeah, that's that's Norm Macdonald's whole shtick, is that he loves it when he bombs. He gets off on it.
Yeah, and then he'll smile into the camera, or like, hey, check out this audience here. Yeah. Like this reaction I'm getting.
Yeah, he was always the coolest guy in the room.
Yeah, like naturally too. He wasn't even trying.
He wasn't trying. That's the whole thing. Is he just kept doubling down on that thing, which is also what Andy Kaufman did. He just kept doubling down on it, going, "I'm going to keep following this bombed out joke," and a little bit of Bill Burr does this too. I'm just going to keep following this joke until at some point it's going to turn funny, and they follow it. And I love I study guys who run a room. Because it's just fascinating to me, the kind of group dynamic that goes on with one guy trying to run a room.
Toying with an audience, like a cat toying with
and there's a peer pressure of, am I going to laugh? And no one laughs. And then some people start laughing, and then everyone starts laughing, because there's a group dynamic to it, which I also see everywhere on YouTube, which I see like fandoms just clicking right into place, talking alike, saying alike. There's a group dynamic between us of who will like what, and then who's going to be the alpha dog that leads this thing, and who's the audience of betas or zetas just going after them. And that fascinates me. Why do people do the things they do? And YouTube is like a petri dish. And I also have the overall philosophy of all of mankind is fallen and evil, and you've given them a powerful tool with a broadcasting mechanism.
Calvinist.
What do you do with your money? What do you do with your comics? What do you do with your film? What do you do with your stand-up? I love it.
Yeah, and Norm is, it's funny. I've heard other like stand-up comedians talk about one of the things they love to watch the most is a comedian bombing. It's not because the comedian might not be funny, but just because it's it's everything that's not supposed to happen. Sometimes it's like, I heard Jay Moore
jokes on him, kind of.
Yeah, but I heard Jay Moore talk about like how he watched Andrew Dice Clay when Dice was trying to be clean.
Yeah,
and he was talking about how the material was hilarious, but nobody was laughing because he was being clean. So everyone was so awkward. And there's another thing I heard is that like
which he then immediately followed up with, "You
fucking fat-titted animal! Hey, gosh. Hey." I love Dice. Old Dice.
We had to rediscover Dice, because back when he was new, it was like, okay, it's
too dirty for us to listen to.
It's funny nursery rhymes, but he's doing a bunch of swearing. And then when we grew up and finally listened to The Day the Laughter Died, it's like, oh, this is actually subversive of the comic genre.
Genius, subversive.
And Howard Stern talks about it too, where I heard him having a conversation with Norm Macdonald about do they go clean or do they go blue, and why do you go blue? And they said they go blue because it's easier to write. Like, people laugh when you cuss and when you're dirty.
Bill Burr actually talks about that, where when he can't think of a word, instead of going he'll say fucking
Yeah, like it's just easier.
It's instinctual. It just comes to you more quickly.
But everyone respects Jerry Seinfeld for always going clean, not for moral reasons, but because he always felt it was lazy, that he wanted to write up to this harder standard, and it ended up creating better work for him, or more fame, or more success as far as running an audience goes.
And Gaffigan and Brian Regan also, I think, have.
Yeah, I love both those guys. I've seen Gaffigan run the Bridgestone Theater here in Tennessee, and it was incredible. In a room, in an arena.
Yeah.
And you watch the warm-up guy, who's also funny. But warm-up guy, like, no one knows who he is, and so he puts his material out there, and haha, it's funny. I don't care who he is. Then Gaffigan gets up and just had everybody in his hands for an hour and 15 minutes. Just constant. I was constantly laughing, even jokes I already heard. He knew that we'd already heard him. He joked about how we'd already heard him, and then he does new material and stuff and talks about the new material, and he had me. Like, can you imagine? I'm a snob. And I'm a writer, and I'm like against this guy, going like, yeah, let me see what you got. And he had not just me, but all the rednecks in the audience, and the family men, and everybody. He had them. It's just really weird. That
another good point too about like writing for formula was one thing was I heard comedians talk about how it's a terrible idea to have the lights on the audience because it makes them more awkward and less likely to laugh. Yeah. So that's why it's better to have it in dark. But like the people filming specials, like, oh, you got to be able to see the audience. It's like, no, I'd rather just not. But
Norm Macdonald can never see his audience when he does his stand-up. He's never.
You wouldn't want to, I imagine, because at least the audience doesn't want to see each other because then they're more comfortable to laugh. But the thing about like Gaffigan and Regan. That's a great point is they do stuff that can be so easily considered hack. Like you can see Brian Regan tomorrow do jokes about airline food and it'll be the funniest shit you ever heard. Yeah. That's also wholly original and bizarre and still a fresh take on something that even other stand-up comedians will say, he did a joke about airline food. It's considered old hat cliched stuff, but it's hilarious.
He's going to own it. And all they do, like Gaffigan and Regan, like I was at that Bridgestone Theater, I was telling Angie, I go, how much did this show cost to put on? It was a blank stage with a mic stand. Mm-hmm. And Regan too. Blank stage, mic stand. And they sell out an auditorium and they run it as big as the biggest abstract, bizarre musical you've seen. Those people are 100% entertained by a guy with a mic stand. That is a weird magic spell. And Regan's another one who he has that weird nervous walk that he does, back and forth on the stage.
Oh yeah, the bobbing walk.
He's just telling a story, just like you and I would tell a story, but he's got the words. These guys craft their words, down to the syllable.
Interview that he's like in real life, he's actually kind of shy.
Yeah,
like the one place where he can kind of step outside of his own skin in a way.
That was another thing you were saying about storytelling, like the common man can be a great storyteller on their own. I think Brian Regan and Jim Gaffigan are almost the most perfect embodiment of that. It's not going to be in a movie. It's just like on a stage. They're telling regular stories. Like one of the stories about that Brian Regan tells about like being kids and doing a bicycle jump off a ramp. And it's like, it's not until the one kid's flipping sideways through the air to go, this was a terrible idea. And then it's like, his arm is bending this way. Well, it's not bending this way. As a bunch of 10-year-old paramedics get some leaves. Yeah, that's again.
The way he describes it is perfect.
Yeah,
might want to take him to the hospital. And if you get some,
how you go shopping, get peanut butter, get the smooth one, not chunky. Gosh.
He was on Opie and Anthony, and he was telling the story about how he was taking a flight down, and the flight or whoever the receptionist is like, "Have a nice flight." He says, you too. And he stops himself and is like, I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah.
Because that's part of his act.
Yeah.
For 20 years now.
And I do that all the time, by the way.
Yeah.
You too.
But also,
yo, toe.
Brian Regan, like he says, I can't believe I just said that.
He's telling the story of how he did it again on accident recently, and then he's like, can't believe I just did that. And she's like, no, that's okay. I get that all the time. He's like, no, you don't understand.
You have no idea how stupid this is coming from me.
Yeah, because I've done this story for
I've made fun of me doing this for money, and now I'm still doing it. It's great, and it ties all this again ties in perfectly with Barton, Fink, and Adaptation,
and your comic.
Yeah, and literally, which again, literally too, that should be coming soon. Now, the one thing I wanted to make sure we absolutely did, this is vital, is before we wrap up the show, we're going to wrap up in a couple minutes. We went for like almost 3 hours now.
Get out of the chair.
But one thing I wanted to make sure is to at least get a clip of you verifying that Thomas Royloop on eBay is indeed a verified person that's selling your it's going to be a page of Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could
Thomas Roy. Okay, here we go. I'm Doug TenNapel, and Thomas Royloop is actually selling an Earthworm Jim, an official Earthworm Jim page. And he's going to use it to make comics with it.
Yeah, so it's going to be funding my comic.
You should buy it. It's official. You should buy it, and it's going to a good cause.
And also, it's only going to go up in value. Whatever you pay for it, it's going to be even more worthwhile in the future. So yeah, I just wanted to
if I died tomorrow, it'll be worth millions.
Oh wow,
oh man!
If I died tomorrow, that's almost worth dying just to have all that art.
Where's my knife? I was just wondering where my knives are.
You're going to have to throw it through the internet. A pixel knife, like a Minecraft knife, it'll go right in my chest, and it'll just be a mercy killing. I'll go, oh, thank goodness! Now I don't have to go through cancer in 10 years.
And to save you from all that chew you've been swallowing.
Oh, right there, baby. Oh, yeah.
But I wanted.
But then I'll miss out on the next Star Wars trilogy. So maybe don't kill me yet.
Okay. Well, yeah, we gotta make sure we see those. But I wanted to just make sure we did short clip of you verifying that the eBay, because I'll link to it on the eBay selling thing. Just a clip of this video of you saying that it's for sure real.
It's for real. And then you can also send your eBay link to me, and I'll throw it out on Twitter and say, hey, guys, this page is for sale. We're raising money so these guys can make a comic. Da-da-da.
Yeah, it'll go.
And you'll get $5 for it.
Oh, sweet.
But it's like $45.
The
after shipping, you'll only lose $20.
Oh, I like only losing $20. I only lost $25 when I got a dumb coin.
Oh yeah.
Which I still haven't gotten. I don't know when I'm going to get that, but whatever.
When they back the coin truck up to your house.
Oh, finally.
Beep, beep, roll. The coin is here.
A coin because it's only one.
It's only one coin.
Why didn't you should have gotten the whole set, the golds?
Yeah, right. I ripped myself off. I really cheated myself.
You're a fool. You are a dumb guy.
I'm a fat pig, selfish fool.
You're dumb.
But all right, so good show and
great show.
Yeah, great show as usual. Again, I'm not opposed to doing these again, but other stuff that I have to be focusing on. I've been really busy lately, not just doing these shows. I have to do work, and then also a secret comic project that you're aware of.
I know you're aware of. Yeah, you got to work hard. Have fun, work hard, and then every once in a while, when you have extra slop time just to think, you say, "You know what? Me and my bro, we're just going to do a 20-minute episode." It's not like what you guys do in 2 hours can't be done in 20 minutes. If you paid attention and didn't play video games while you did it,
our 5-minute episodes always become 40-minute episodes.
Yeah, that's when we try to keep it short.
That's us trying to keep it short.
But anyways. We'll try to do videos again in the future, but for now, here's the thing: the outline that I sent for the secret comic project already had been finished. I'm ready to just start scripting it. I could probably have that done in like a day or
you could easily do it in a day.
Yeah, it's easy one day's work, but I mean, I have to go to work in a couple minutes.
Spend weeks in prep and one day writing it.
Yeah, that's how I do it. That's my approach. My approach is sit around. thinking, playing video games, sometimes eating food, and then all of a sudden one day I'll be ready to do all of it all at once. I've actually done that too. I've written like an entire like full length comic like in one day, and then I'll take a couple months off.
I pound my scripts out really fast, and then I'll give it a rest. Then I go back and do a harsh rewrite. Mm-hmm. And I really should be rewriting these things like 5 or 10 times. But
that's actually how I do it. Is I get the bare script out there, and then I rewrite it, and I rewrite it, and I rewrite it so many times until I can't stomach even reading it anymore. That's my approach. Anyways,
that's me after the first time I write it.
Yeah.
I can't stomach it.
Then you gotta go back. Yeah, it is painful. It's always painful, and then proofing. As we said, proofing is one of the most agonizing, embarrassing, painful things that you absolutely.
And every word you wrote feels like it sucks. You're just I'm so glad.
Every spelling error and typo is like deeply embarrassing to me. Like I almost let that go. I found a spelling error that was in one of my scripts for years, and it completely changed the context and meaning of the story. And it was just one word that I spelled wrong. I spelled it as a different word, and I was like, "No, why did I do this? How did I not catch this?"
You just need your brother to read it and say, "Look, you're gonna edit this thing."
Yeah, that's
you need a fresh pair of eyes, even though you're twins, so he's the same person.
Well, that is one thing that is our attempt at our approach at trying to do the script reading Wednesdays that we've been sort of doing.
Yeah, with Preston.
Yeah,
that's a good discipline. But give it to Pat and just say, be the meanest person, like you already are. Be the meanest person to this script, and just insult it, and then rewrite it.
Really don't know if it'll work out that way, but I mean,
at least it'll be the best person.
Yes, that is
fact.
Anyway,
the thing is, you don't have to do what he says, but you have to hear it. You need to hear it.
Yeah, that's always important for any writer. You don't have to do what is told, what the feedback that you get, but you have to at least hear it.
It's most of the reason why when young writers say, "Will you read my script?" I'm like, you don't want me to read your script. I'm going to just tell you to quit.
I'll be like, I don't think you know anything.
I stopped reading after the 3rd page of your 100-page script. It was so terrible. And I mean, all of them that I've read. I've never like opened up a script and said, "Whoa, you're ready." Mm-hmm. You read it like 3rd page. I'm like, "You're terrible." And by the way, I would do this to my own scripts. I'd go like, "You're terrible." So I'm just like, I don't think you're ready to hear that. If you're coming to me as some kind of an authority or someone you really look up to, or you really dig and stuff, and I get like 10 requests every couple of weeks, I just go like, I just don't do it anymore because I'm like, it's too much pressure.
And it's painful to be able to have to do that to a stranger sometimes. So yeah, but what's very easy for me though is like being asked to do like an 8-page backup. And it's like, well, now I can write this, and now you have to read it because you're paying me to write it in the first place.
Yeah. That's a good way to get it. And even if I read like a great script, like a Tarantino script, I'd read it and probably go like, "This is garbage."
Yeah, or it's like, I could do better. But yeah, that was funny. Another funny thing is that when I was doing that the script show yesterday, I was like, okay, yeah, a lot of this is still, it's very old, and I need to rewrite all of it all over again. And they were being like, you have to get over being too rough on yourself. You can't be your worst critic. That wasn't the point.
You can't be mean enough on yourself on art or writing. You can't be mean enough. As long as you do it, you can't stop. You can't not do it
automatically, whether you want to or not. If you reread your own material, you should want it to be the best that you can make it.
Now, just to discourage everyone, I did read Miller's Crossing and Barton Fink.
I would like to see the script for that.
I wouldn't change a single word of even their descriptions.
I wonder what was anything actually different from the script of the movie.
No, it's word for word.
Well, then
word for word, and it's perfect, and it's infuriating.
Infuriating. I was ready to get pissed off just finding out how old they were.
They must be killed. After I read it, that was my response. They must be killed.
Cancer.
Eat their brains, and it will give
this Lum Drop person mentions, this is a very good point. One concept Swick mentioned that I thought was brilliant was critique your own work as if you were someone who hates it. It's as if someone who is reading it is your worst enemy.
That is true, but it's better just to give it to someone who really hates you.
Yes. Yeah, again, that's why I post a lot of
that's work.
So Tim Lim hates us all. So send it to Tim Lim. And Preston, who does that guy love?
How much he loves it.
Here's the thing: even like War Campaign or the other guys, the thing is, I would absolutely love to see if they had actual feedback.
No, they wouldn't.
So let's call. I'll have Lando. I'll call Lando, and I'll say, "Hey, we have a script. We need you to read. We want your notes. Do you mind? Do you mind?"
They wouldn't give anything worth.
Yeah, I don't think they would give a single thing where they would be. Here's the problem with them: is they're so angry they don't actually have any feedback, and they don't have insight into critical analysis.
Yeah, it would still, the interaction would be better than anything we could write.
Yes, absolutely.
So the sheer interaction would be better.
Just being like slandered, pointlessly slandered to an empty degree would still be better, because like now I have to look at this like somebody who hates my guts is going to be reading this script.
Like I looked at the my top 10 referrals of my campaign, and I send them a free page, and I saw in the top 10 that Ethan made the cut. Rethan. So I sent him a message on Facebook. I said, "Hey, if you want a free page, give me your address. I'll send it to you." And I didn't hear anything back from him, but I just thought, this is already more dramatic than anything I've ever written.
Yeah.
Real life.
The idea that you're offering to send him a page is it's one of the most dramatic things I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah. And I was serious. I just go, look, I got to send him a page. He's one of my top 10 referrals.
I was thinking of emailing Richard C. Meyer recently, a couple days ago, and asking him, why don't you just make a webcomic? Because I know that would piss.
We know the answer.
Yes, we know the answer. Yeah. I give you a comic, but I would be like, why didn't you just make your comic a web comic? Then people would actually see it, and you don't have to worry about shipping. All that other stuff is stupid. All those other things.
Good idea.
And again, that would be
maybe
more.
We should all start maybe we should all start a web comic and give them away for free. Because
I want to. And again, that when I was reading through that story, I was like, you know what? This would be an interesting web comic where if one side of the page of the web page was one side of the comic, and the right next to it was the other side of the comic, so you read both of them simultaneously. That might be a train wreck, but that would be really interesting.
It'd be like Barton Fink. For the common man, we could make web comics for the common man.
Exactly. I mean, all web comics really are. It's the ultimate comic man form of art. Anyways,
and you go for the common man, and it is a fat guy running down the hall with a shotgun, running at you with flames on either side of him, who cut someone's head off. That is the common man.
I will show you the life of the mind.
I'll show you the life of the mind.
Now that we've all seen the life of the mind, and also Heil Hitler, I want.
I'm not even allowed to laugh at that.
That's. I know it's funny in the movie. It's also funny in real life. Yeah. But, so we'll wrap up.
Everyone gives a perfect line read, by the way, and that is the perfect line read that John Goodman gives. It's the best line read you could ever say, that line.
It's creepy and funny simultaneously. Do you know how hard that is to do?
He's a genius. Coen Brothers. It's the Coen, and it's all the Coen Brothers. They have to micromanage those amazing actors too. Tony Shalhoub's character is
Tony Shalhoub, especially.
I've never seen him do that character before or after, and he's amazing.
It's like the perfect Hollywood archetype of somebody.
Makes you realize how hard acting actually is.
Yeah. Anyways, okay.
You can't.
Yeah, we could go for another 3 hours. We're wrapping up
3 hours.
We're too jolly. There's too much mirth.
Yeah, so
it's like a brain factory in here.
Unlike Reshare,
can we get a dumb guy? Can we get a fourth dumb guy in here?
Let's ask Ethan. You have Ethan's email address. How about you ask him, see if he'll come on with us?
Hey, bro, remember that page? We also want you to talk. What movie would we talk about? Let's get a movie. One that you really care about. Goodfellas. We're going to do a Goodfellas review.
Didn't we do? I think we did one about.
I don't want to waste Goodfellas on him.
Yeah, wait. Hold. Let me just look. Last minute, let me just look through our list, because I have a list of movies. Let's see.
Black Stallion.
Train
on there.
Train Spotting.
Oh,
that's a good one. You know, like that.
It's good. It's good. It's just.
It is an agony.
I like Shallow Grave better.
Okay.
Shallow Grave.
What about Existenz?
Cronenberg, no, but I like Naked Lunch.
Oh yeah, Naked Lunch was.
It's been a long time since I've seen Naked Lunch.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, and it was like, whoa, that was
Audrey chick, the homely Audrey is in that movie.
What about Zodiac?
No.
What about The Burbs?
No. Tom Hanks one? No.
You don't like that?
Why not?
No. It just doesn't pull it off.
Here's
Is that Joe Dante did that?
Yeah, Joe Dante. What about The Man with Two Brains and The Jerk?
No.
What about Midnight Cowboy, Shattered Glass, The Big Short, Glengarry Glen Ross?
Glengarry and Glen Ross, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard yes.
If we ever do an episode together again, it would be Glengarry Glen.
That'll be the one.
But it would be easier if we just go on one of your streams. So again, everyone go Doug TenNapel on YouTube. Doug TenNapel on YouTube.
On YouTube. Oh, and I have a Kickstarter called Earthworm Jim if you haven't backed that book. I don't want to hear about any of your outrage anywhere if you haven't backed that book. Earthworm Jim.
I'm not going to back a book that only made $20,000.
It's only $20,000. We're barely eking by on $22K. How am I going to pay rent on just $22K on Kickstarter?
Flying under the radar.
Yeah,
I'm just an anonymous. I'm a little guy. I'm just a little guy like you.
Really,
$22K on a hardbound book with gold gilded edges. This guy's going to go broke.
Yeah, I know.
How can he live with himself?
Saying Burbs is a classic. I think
Burbs is not a classic.
Burbs is a classic.
Tom Hanks and it's that guy from Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day. I like Groundhog Day.
Rick Dukeman.
Rick Dukeman's great, and
he's playing with they're throwing the bone, and the dog is fetching the bone, and he just suddenly realized this is a human femur bone.
Screaming. And it's a movie about rediscovering your childhood, but as an adult.
It's just trying a little hard.
But but it makes fun of the try hard. Again, me and my brother will have to do
you guys do the Burbs. I'll watch.
These are all movies. Yeah, of course.
Again, Doug TenNapel loves watching our channel. If Doug TenNapel loves our channel, what are the rest of you guys missing on it?
I do skip all of the Warcraft. What's Wrong with Warcraft number 19? Only because I don't care. I like you guys. I don't care about.
You'll be back.
Yeah, you'll come crawling back after your.
I'll crawl back. I'd listen to Burbs. I'd listen to your big dissertation, your doctorate dissertation on the Burbs. Let's do that.
Yeah, some of our game our game videos lately have been very lazy, but our movie ones are good.
Well, you've heard it here. This is their last episode, other than they're going to do the Burbs.
Yes. So go subscribe to Doug TenNapel's channel because we're on there sometimes. Yeah. So if you want to catch us, we'll be on his. Also, the Bunderdome, we're on there sometimes too. So go follow that. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, as much as we do the jokes about unhit the bell for unnotifications, I have to say, if you actually hit the bell for notifications, you don't have to be following me on Twitter or Discord to know when we're streaming. You can actually find that out by actually hitting the bell. That's up to you, though. Otherwise,
but don't do it, or then you'll know.
We need donations.
So don't hit the bell. And also, one thing I forget every single time. Last time I was on with you, I completely forgot to mention our Patreon. I want to mention that
literally.
Time. No, it's patreon.com/smuglaley. The comic I want to plug too, of course, but our Patreon is like something that actually we got the money for it.
You have to spell Smuglaley or they won't find it. Yeah, it's a terrible name.
Well, it's short at least.
I know Smug. How do you do Laley?
Laily.
Laily. Okay.
Yeah, and again, that helps keep the lights on literally because it's our electricity bill.
Literally. Yeah, and we get another late bill.
Yes. Yeah. I actually got a bill that says it's like $200, and then the internet bill says it's like $80 and it's overdue.
Because you live on the moon, and heating on the moon is
I
expensive.
haven't been working as hard at my actual paying job because I've been doing streams so often.
Oh, really? Did you spend so much time driving your kids to school that you hardly had any time left? I don't know how you do it.
Trying to live our dreams.
Playing video games.
Poor guy. Yeah, playing your free video games all day. How do you get time in to work? And they're going to shut your electricity off.
Busting my ass 20 hours a week for this.
Wouldn't you learn a better lesson if they did turn the electricity off? Wouldn't it put a fire under you to go like, I got to write and work like hell?
Well, here's the thing. Everything is coming up right now where I'm going to start getting paid for comics, at least to a tiny degree. So I'm doing that. I'm doing that, and I am still making sure I log into work and do
do your work.
A lot of our work does go unpaid.
But what I'm going to be doing for now, for like the next few months, is I'm not going to schedule up any more streams. I'm going to just focus on work so I can pay the bills, and also I'm going to make sure that the comics are written, and then I'm going to run campaigns too.
Yeah.
So as far as these things, this is going to be the last one because I kind of have to put off, like I have to schedule my life around it, and that makes getting actual paying work.
What if I could get you a writing job on Thundercats?
Yeah, I would go for that. I would quit my day job.
Are you talking about the CalArts reboot?
Yeah, the reboot.
I would sweep the floors at CalArts.
CalArts to do work on that. Okay, I just want to get that documented.
Yeah, it's official. It's a binding resolution that yes, I would go work at CalArts.
We should cut this off. We should cut this show off before it hits 3 hours.
All right, I'm cutting off the show before it ends.